Hi and welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be taking a look at what do they need you to know right now. There are three groups to choose from. Group 1 is this raspberry Quartz. Group 2 is the Amethyst cluster. And group 3 is the Malachite. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you would like to jump ahead, which I do recommend using so that you can skip over me shuffling cards in between groups to clear the energy of the group I've just read for and tap into the energy of the group I'm about to read for. So again, I'll give you a minute. Please use the timestamps and we'll get into your reading. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Raspberry Quartz. So I'm going to start with some Oracle cards to get kind of a feel of what do they need you to know right now. What's going on with this person. Some stuff in their 3D world, some things about their internal landscape. Okay, so we have secrets. So whatever they are showing you or not showing you, this is kind of a facade at this point in time. There's a lot going on beneath the surface, a lot that they are trying to repress. This could even be sort of a situation of an opportunity that they had at one point in time to speak their truth to you, and they sort of withheld that, or maybe even denied having feelings for you, kind of pushing this connection away, recoiling from the connection. And this is really indicating that they're thinking a lot about that, kind of with a sense of regret at having, again, maybe turn their back on you, turn their back on this connection, choosing to focus on something else. And in this state of focusing on otherness, you're still very much in their heart. You're still very much in their thoughts. They're definitely reflecting on what has occurred, and kind of the secret desire that they are harboring to change the circumstances, perhaps move toward reconciliation, or even kind of a secret longing that maybe they'll run into you just kind of accidentally or serendipitously, and kind of going over what would happen if that occurred. What would they say? Sort of this energy of vacillating between, would they take a chance? Would they speak their truth? Or would it just be sort of more of kind of the business as usual with this person? And we also have detachment. So this can really talk about sort of this fear that they might be in the process of detaching from. The emotions that they could have felt for you could have been quite overwhelming for this person at the time, and even still, and sort of their coping mechanism for that could have just been to push you away, or kind of pull themselves away from this connection. But there's a sense here of clarity happening, of this person kind of moving more up into that logical space to create that balance between head and heart. And in this process, maybe as time has passed or some clarity has happened, there's a sense here of transcendence that is happening, moving beyond this sense of overwhelm, and almost feeling a bit of safety in terms of the depth and nature of the feelings that they have for you. Again, this desire to kind of move beyond whatever the circumstances are that you find yourselves in currently. This person could also be in this process of maybe detaching or moving away from other things in their life that could have been obstacles to this connection in the past, maybe even sort of belief systems or heartbreaks of the past, wounds of the past that had remained very visceral and very heavy in that heart space, that caused them to sort of push away this connection due to the intensity and nature of it, or just feelings of love that were sort of sparked or initiated within this person that brought up these memories, almost in conjunction with that idea of secrets, things that they'd been holding on to, maybe even holding out hope for someone from their past to return, someone they had been holding space from, that really sort of prohibited them from recognizing kind of the blessing that this connection had to offer, this idea of redemption or a second chance, a new opportunity in love, that in some way they were very much attached to kind of this past energy, sort of holding space to the degree of stagnancy within themselves, and again, not able to really recognize the blessing or the opportunity for healing and, for an experience of love, mutual love, reciprocal love that this connection with you had offered to them. We also have innovation. So they can be getting kind of creative in terms of how they are learning to kind of manage the feelings that they have for you while still carrying on business as usual in their life. This might require a degree of creativity, because there might be even an increase in the intensity of what they are feeling for you. This card also really speaks to somebody with this idea of almost not a lure as in any kind of trickery, but just kind of something that this person is really starting to craft within themselves, maybe some kind of an excuse to reach out to you, trying to kind of plan maybe some way to introduce themselves, interject themselves back into your reality. To sort of test those waters, or, to really just see it. Are you still open to them? To tap more consciously into this energy, this connection, to see if what they are harboring, what they are still holding on to, if this is something that maybe they have just kind of built up in their mind. Is this just in the realm of fantasy at this point in time? Or is there an ability to really sort of pick up where you left off, to move forward in this connection in a way that they might have held back on in the past? We also have friendship. So this feels like someone who, at the very minimum, wants to establish a friendship with you. That at this point in time, they would be very content with that. There's a sense of longing, a sense of missing the closeness, or even the spark, the potential that existed between the two of you in the past. And in essence, by pushing away sort of the deep feelings that they had for you, these romantic inclinations. It also came at the expense of a friendship that you two had developed together, or that they could have seen themselves really kind of relating to you on a level that is beyond romance. And so they're feeling that, they're holding that inside. They're trying to detach from sort of this sense of hopelessness, to detach from anything that might have clouded their ability to see and to receive also kind of the blessings of this connection and this love, both the romantic aspects and the aspects of friendship. And on these two cards right here, we have 1111. So that could be something significant that's coming up for you at this point in time. You might be seeing that a lot. This person could also be seeing that a lot, and thinking of you at that time, or, starting to, also with this idea of 1111, maybe you consider this person a twin flame, a twin soul, a soulmate, something of that nature. And there's an essence here of this person starting to recognize that, starting to kind of lean more into that, maybe even starting to explore ideas like that, or as they have kind of, with this idea of secrets, it feels that any sort of research or any kind of exploration of that they've been doing, it's kind of been under the cover of darkness. It's not something where they're openly discussing this with other people in their life. With this idea of friendship, maybe they have like one person in particular that they are confiding in about this, but it feels like they're really being their own best friend in this circumstance, really starting to, maybe even detach from kind of outside opinions or the ways in which other people are able to digest or even understand the nature of these feelings, the nature of this connection, or the potential that's existed there. And so somebody who's really kind of getting very creative to try and scratch beneath the surface of whatever it is they're feeling or still feeling for you, perhaps even having come upon ideas like twin flame or soulmate, things of that nature, and are starting to really resonate with that. It's starting to give them some kind of a new perspective on what has occurred between you in the past, what they're still feeling for you, and then to try and kind of see a wider horizon of a way to sort of move beyond where you two are currently, in order to create some kind of future. And we also have bluff. So this really ties in with the idea of secrets, that what they're depicting to you at this point in time, what they're saying, maybe it's complete silence, that this is not the truth of what exists at the core of them. This is merely a facade. This is almost the idea of kind of just doing what's necessary at this point in time in order to maintain some kind of structure and balance in their life, while internally and kind of in their private time, they're, going through this deep process of detachment and exploration, and really feeling into themselves to explore why they may have pushed you away in the past. Kind of almost this energy also of comparison. If this is someone who had been holding space for maybe an ex of theirs, somebody they'd been dealing with romantically in the past, there's a sense here of starting to see beyond even those facades, the more that they are able to sit with this energy, to recognize what they may have been holding space for could have in actuality been almost a toxic situation with somebody else that this person could have trauma bonded with, or they could have just kind of been in this cycle, maybe even of codependent tendencies within themselves, somebody who had through the course of their life come to equate sort of love and loss, or love with difficulty. As much as that might have been very uncomfortable, it could have felt very much normal for this person. And so when this connection was introduced into their life, this, intensity, maybe things going really well between the both of you, this almost feels like the energy of self-sabotage, because it felt so much outside of that comfort zone, outside of what they define as normal. And so in kind of this separation, in the silence, in this period where they're presenting one thing and there's a lot happening beneath the surface, they're starting to really get to the root of that what they may have been equating as their end-all be-all person, or what they thought they were looking for, or what love and connection should be like, was instead stemming from almost a distortion or an illusion within themselves. There's a sense of making friends also with their shadows and with these wounds within them, embracing these things, recognizing these things, bringing these things out into the light, so that through admitting these things, through recognizing these things, they're better able to kind of incorporate that into the fabric of who they are, and then to be able to kind of consciously make a choice if they're going to feed into that vein of fear, or, in terms of this connection and even other aspects of their life, if they're going to choose that route of love, of self-love, which emanates out into an ability to experience reciprocal and healthy love with others. We've also got organization. So there might be some kind of community that this person is really leaning on heavily. It doesn't necessarily feel to be anyone in kind of their 3D reality. This feels like somebody who's almost compartmentalizing their life. So, maybe as they're going through the motions of their day, kind of coworkers, friends, family, sort of know and see and understand one aspect of this person. There's a sense of some other kind of community that they are finding, that they are reaching out to, that they're, getting a lot of answers from, maybe some kind of online community, maybe even, tarot readings that they're watching, podcasts they're listening to, blogs that they're reading, things about spirituality, but it feels very much separate from this other sort of daytime persona that they are putting on. And in that sense, they're getting, again, kind of this ability to sort of grapple with what's going on. This could also be somebody who, has maybe reached out and is getting some kind of counseling for themselves about things, maybe even some grief counseling, or, just finding somebody to talk to. But it feels very much that it's sort of hidden away. It's something that people in their kind of everyday reality don't really know about, but nevertheless is taking place. This person's starting to get very organized within themselves about their motivations, wounds they've been holding on to, distortions, how this has really kind of affected the way they are moving and conducting themselves in the world and in relationships in general. And we also have isolation, so they could really be taking a step back, kind of with that energy also of detachment, pulling away from people, places, and things that at one point resonated with them, even isolating themselves, taking a break from even ways of approaching love, ideas about love, somebody who's in this process of kind of transforming their belief systems in general, needing this time, needing that kind of space of the mask, the facade of what's not being shown in order to really process within themselves, to kind of sift through and decipher the truth of who they are and who they want to be moving forward versus who they have been, how they have been showing up in the past, and sort of what portions of that need to be left behind. We also have manipulation. So this can really talk about this energy of distortion, this person starting to recognize how things that they've been through in the past, romantic experiences of the past, maybe even some things about their upbringing, things that they kind of learned early on about the nature of love and partnerships, how this has created some distortions within them. There's a sense here of this person wanting to really take their power back, really seeking to find out who they are, segregated from experiences that kind of led them to believe that they were a certain way or they should be showing up a certain way. This feels like somebody who's kind of peeling back the layers of illusion. Somebody who may also start to be recognizing how, in that energy of distortion, they themselves were emanating that out, kind of this idea of hurt people. So some kind of an inventory that's being taken place about them, about how they've conducted themselves in this connection and their life in general up to this point. This can also really tie into kind of that element of the toxicity or the distortion, kind of the imbalance maybe of another connection from their past, somebody that they were really holding space for, that they had kind of excluded you or not really given this connection an opportunity to flourish or to continue because somebody else kind of had taken up residence in this person's heart space, and very much clinging to that, very much holding on to that idea that is as sort of imbalanced or distorted or unfulfilling as that connection maybe had proven historically to be, that this person still was kind of a piece of themselves being sort of held and contained and remaining in that idea of something that fell apart, something that didn't go according to plan, something that was even very hurtful for them, very damaging for them, and kind of this inability to move beyond that. There's a sense here of this person kind of starting to understand how maybe what they were equating with love or with their one, with that kind of counterpart energy or that perfect and complementary other half of them was really stemming from kind of an emanation of their shadow side. That what they were seeing mirrored to them was kind of all of that kind of darkness and distortion that they may have been at this point, of just kind of having this blindfold onto, not really recognizing that within themselves, yet kind of unconsciously projecting that out and therefore attracting that in the form of another. And through this process of kind of detaching, peeling back these layers, taking off that blindfold, they're starting to recognize, again, not really, I mean, it could be deliberate manipulation from some toxic partner in the past, but it almost feels like a self-sabotage energy where they really feel they may be kind of working through and trying to combat some feelings of kind of shame and guilt and regret over the ways in which, operating predominantly out of more of their shadow energy. They were almost pushing away sort of that healing and that lightness of healthy and reciprocal love that this connection offered in the interest of continuing to kind of feed into and sustain that sort of comfort, that comfort zone or that familiarity of kind of a distorted dynamic that they had come to equate with love and partnership. And we also have achievement. So this is actually a very positive indication that a lot of this work that they are doing internally on themselves, this kind of fearless inventory, really taking time to look in the mirror and kind of see beyond illusions, see beyond, the conditioning from their life, their belief systems, that they're having a lot of victory in this sense. This is somebody who's kind of rising above those illusions, somebody who, through the work that they are doing internally, even by opening up that curiosity to explore, to really get to know themselves, that, energetically and in other ways, they're starting to kind of experience this alleviation, maybe of some heaviness, some clutter that has been sort of following them throughout their life, or that may have even been occupying their heart space and kind of operated as almost this fortress or this barrier that wouldn't allow this love in. They wouldn't allow it to be, fully experienced with you in the past. They wouldn't allow themselves to kind of step out from behind those walls. But in this process of detachment, of isolation, of, just kind of keeping that facade and allowing these things to kind of be sorted out within themselves, whatever kind of means and methods that they are taking very privately to kind of work through all of this. There are some kind of leaps and bounds that are happening. This is somebody who's in this energy of transcendence. With the sun here, this is a lot of victory and positivity and joy. So this feels like somebody who's starting to, really get a handle, really start to organize and kind of clean out the closet within themselves, clean out these sort of dusty corners of their heart and their psyche that had really inhibited their ability to properly discern the nature of what is healthy for them, what is in their best interest, what is for their highest good, versus kind of situations or even mindsets and belief systems that had really served to essentially limit them in other ways or in a large way in their life. So I'm going to get a little bit of tarot, just get a little bit of clarification for this. Okay, and we have the Wheel of Fortune. So this definitely talks about kind of the turning of the page, this idea of sort of leaving behind what no longer serves, shedding that, walking away from that, and opening up to kind of a fresh start. And all this imagery here, there are books with blank pages. And so this really speaks to a future that is unwritten, this person stepping out into new territory, new kind of this beginner's mind within themselves, where they are starting to realize that what they've been doing up to this point no longer works for them. They're not entirely sure what the future looks like, how to kind of crystallize these changes within them out into the material world. They may be starting to kind of do this, starting to sort of, detach and isolate from other things that once resonated for them. But it feels like a lot of this work is really just at those kind of beginning stages. A lot of this is happening internally, and it's yet to really be substantially written in their material world. But at the same time, this is a card of hope that what you have experienced with this person in the past is now entering into this stage of kind of open potential, wide open possibilities, almost this idea of a clean slate or some kind of a reconciliation that might be entirely possible on the other side of this internal work. That as this person sort of changes that landscape within, they are then capable of showing up in a different way in the material world for you. We've also got the Four of Swords. So again, that idea of kind of rest, of isolation, of detachment, somebody who, may just kind of be at this point where they could have been really fighting, really resisting these changes for quite some time. And they're exhausted. They can't fight anymore. They can't resist this anymore. This is somebody who's realized something has to give. Instead of sort of projecting out, placing blame, this is somebody who's kind of opening up to that divine grace of accepting responsibility. Somebody who, also is in this imagery here, it's all these kind of like sheets of paper, but then there are bits that are torn up. So this really talks about, again, kind of belief systems that are being released, maybe even some toxic patterns or toxic relationships in this person's life that they had really held on to. They had really, dedicated themselves to, that they're starting to kind of move away from that. They're starting to see that illusion, how what that was maybe built off of was not a solid foundation. It's not something that they want to carry forth into the future with them. Somebody who's in this process of kind of shedding in order to open themselves up to kind of what is yet to come. This idea, again, of kind of these unwritten pages, the future being a clean slate in many ways for them. And we've also got the Eight of Cups. So again, this idea of kind of moving beyond the ways in which they have dealt with their own emotions in the past, in which they have really kind of come to equate maybe love and loss. This can also really talk about kind of some volatility in their romantic past, heavy experiences with others, maybe a lot of situations where they felt very much emotionally drained or kind of used or taken advantage of by others, and they had come to really equate that with just the nature of partnership, which might have made them sort of hesitant, made them kind of stay in that fortress within themselves and sort of resist this connection. But this is somebody who's detaching from that, who's turning their back on that and is instead setting their sights on what they can experience in the future. Somebody who's really open to and entertaining the possibility that their past need not dictate the future, and taking solid steps, even in the form of just opening themselves up to the curiosity and the questioning of something more in the present, which essentially then births that possibility, and the pathway forward is then revealed to kind of a different series of circumstances moving forward. And we've got Five of Pentacles, so this sense of kind of being out in the cold, being at a loss, what they once might have really, given priority to, really kind of taken as their truth, as their sanctuary, as the place that they wanted to be, maybe a partner of the past that they considered to be the one. There's a sense of, as this person is kind of transmuting a lot of things within themselves, transforming within themselves, that, these other kind of connections or belief systems or ways of being, it's no longer that sense of sanctuary for them. It no longer resonates. It no longer feels like home. This is almost somebody who, could feel like an outsider in their own home with that energy of isolation and detachment. Their own home literally, maybe even amongst family, friends, coworkers, other communities that they were a part of. This is somebody who's on this journey now of finding themselves, finding and cultivating that sanctuary within, so that they are then able to participate mutually in that energy of kind of being a safe space with and for others. And we also have the Page of Pentacles. So this can talk about, again, this idea of just starting off on this journey, maybe just a few steps, baby steps that are being taken at this point in time in their 3D material reality to kind of implement these changes that are going on in the inside. But this is really talking also about things that they're researching, maybe, again, somebody who could be getting counseling, or if they have like one particular friend or some kind of a community that they are leaning on for kind of support and encouragement in this. A lot of things are really registering. A lot of seeds are being deposited within this person and are germinating within this person. They're really getting a lot out of whatever this process of exploration is, even if this is just entirely, purely an internal process at this point in time of, just sitting with themselves, sitting with their thoughts, being willing and open to kind of discard how they were moving through the world before, and opening themselves up, maybe even, praying or asking for guidance, asking for signs, asking for some kind of divine intervention, calling upon their angels. Archangel Michael's coming in very strongly to, kind of cut these cords of attachment to, situations of their past that were mostly in the energy of distortion, to kind of cut away from that energy of sort of self-limiting belief systems or ways that they were showing up in the world. Somebody who's in this process of surrender, of realizing that the way they've been moving through the world, it's no longer working. It hasn't worked for some time. Perhaps it has never worked for them, or it didn't work to their optimal, benefit. And so in this process of recognizing that, something more needs to happen, something outside of themselves needs to happen. There needs to be some growth and maturity that takes place. And while that may still be, a little bit off in the future, this idea also of Wheel of Fortune, kind of the commencing of a season. And so this can be something where, again, that needs some time to play out, that needs some time to kind of develop and to grow. But important first steps are being taken. This person is at least, recognizing the trail ahead, recognizing kind of that fork in the road, and has made a choice in some capacity, large or small, to choose a different direction than where they had been headed previously. And we also have the Magician. So this can really talk about, kind of utilizing their experiences from the past, the way they've been showing up, to use that to their advantage, to turn these kind of disappointments into a source of power and wisdom for them. In this card, though, the artwork, it's on the wand and the sword. She's barely got just kind of the tips of her fingers on these things, and she's not looking down at, the pentacle and the chalice. She's kind of right at that brink of making drastic change, but still sort of distracted, still sort of thinking about this. With these angels here, this divine intervention that's coming in. Somebody who has these tools at their disposal, but isn't necessarily able yet to recognize that. Just kind of these initial steps have been taken, but there's still a lot of kind of seeking outside of oneself for that ability to take action, which is not necessarily a bad thing in the context of, seeking inspiration, seeking, divine guidance and whatnot. But it feels like somebody who's, again, in this process of learning to kind of marry these two aspects, kind of learning to really become self-reliant, recognize themselves as their own kind of force of change in their life, kind of getting this inspiration input from sort of outside sources, maybe even some form of community, and it's starting to really bring these pieces together. This is somebody who's kind of right at that brink of taking that action, taking that control to make some drastic changes in their life, and move out of this energy of just kind of wishing for change into doing something about that to meet change on the horizon. So I'm going to get a few messages from their higher self for you, group 1. Let's see, what do they want to say? Okay, and they say, I find you incredibly attractive. So as this person is really sitting kind of in this isolation, in this quiet, behind that mask, this ties into that energy of secrets that, they're very much attracted to you. They very much have feelings for you. They have always had feelings for you. And it's something that, again, because of kind of the nature of whatever else was going on with them, kind of how they were moving through the world, they might not have been prepared in the past to fully embrace these things, might have kind of denied or pushed these things away because the discomfort that they had experienced, these narratives that they had, or something they were holding space for, as kind of uncomfortable as that process or that kind of that situation or that kind of fluctuation might have been, it nonetheless was very much their comfort zone. And something about this connection, the intensity of this, maybe even the opportunity for healing, for rewriting the script for themselves in terms of how they've experienced love, how they've experienced connection with another. Although it was very alluring for them, there's again this element of otherness that caused them to kind of push this away. Maybe even some feelings of inadequacy within themselves, feeling that, maybe they had come to believe that they systematically ruined romantic relationships. And so it was easier to push this away rather than kind of build both of your hopes up in order for this person in their mind to inevitably just let you down eventually. They also say, I feel you. So they're thinking a lot about you. They're feeling your energy around them. This really feels like somebody who almost taps into your energy as a source of kind of support and inspiration, a beacon, a lighthouse for them through this process of kind of sifting away from their life. People, places, and situations, vibrations that they were holding on to, hopes and dreams that they may have had, or even kind of this element of sort of living in the past, living in this realm of sort of what if and the would have, could have, should haves, that in some way, as this is kind of giving way, as this is kind of breaking down within them, it's helping them to perceive on some level, even just the potential that existed between you in the past, and that being a point that they are striving for, that being something that they are tapping into. Almost this idea as well of kind of thoughts of you, memories of you, even kind of dreams and fantasies of what this connection could in time become, that it's something that they are really investing themselves in. They're really going to that internal landscape, that place within them, as kind of a form of recharging, as sort of this contrast to whatever illusions they are operating from in their material world. Sort of this heavy lifting of having to sort of recalibrate themselves, reformulate their ideas and how they're moving through the world, and all that energy of almost this heavy lifting. And they're needing this lightness. They're needing the lightness of this connection, even just the energetic bond that exists between the both of you currently, to kind of motivate them to continue on, to press forward. Maybe literally in the sense of to get to a point of having something to offer in terms of reconciliation with you in the future. But it also feels like just the vibration that you innately hold is very inspirational for this person. It's a place that they want to come to. There's a wholeness that they recognize within yourself that may have even taken you some time to cultivate. Perhaps it's something that in the aftermath of what has happened with this person, you've really embarked upon that journey. You've made friends with your shadows. You've made friends with your past. You've come to a place of acceptance of what has occurred with this person in your life in general in many different ways. And this person is really sensing that. They're feeling that energetically. If they're able to kind of observe you from afar, maybe even on social media from a distance, they're recognizing this change within you. Your energy itself having really developed and blossomed in a way that they were unable to perceive before, and perhaps that you weren't even radiating that vibration before. But again, it's something where they're feeling and sensing you from a new capacity now. It's something that in the past they may not have been ready to experience or didn't feel worthy of experiencing, but now this is kind of that point they are striving for. And we also have fights, arguments, and conflict. So this is that energy of things being shaken up in their material world. This can be a lot of even fighting themselves, kind of this internal conflict, sort of wrestling with their shadows, and trying to hold that space within themselves for the light of their core and the true essence of their being to really be that constancy of compassion for themselves, for this process that they're going through, and through kind of this metamorphosis. Again, maybe a lot of things in their material world are starting to fall away. People even that they are pulling away from as they're needing this time to process and go within and transform. This could be creating a lot of struggles. As they're raising their vibration, it could even be kind of sending out these energetic signals to others who may have been accustomed to sort of that energy of distortion that this person was holding on to, or a certain way that they had kind of contorted themselves or sort of limited themselves, packaged themselves in order to, fit into kind of the expectations of the world they had built around themselves. And so the more that this person is stepping outside of that box, expanding themselves, stepping into their authenticity, questioning who they are and how they've been moving through the world, questioning their relationships and things they've given priority to, things they've even held space for in the past, that it's almost ringing the alarm bells energetically for these people, that this person is evolving, this person is changing, this person can no longer be contained, this person can no longer be controlled, this person is taking back their autonomy, taking back their power, rising from kind of this energy of the ashes that they had been living in, that they had been maybe convincing themselves was paradise to some degree, and that they are now seeing, they are recognizing almost this ceiling that has parted, and there's this wider vista that's possible for them. There's ascension that is possible for them. They no longer need to limit themselves, even to belief systems of, sort of love and struggle being sort of one and the same. Abandoning that, moving beyond that, and opening up space to, entertain the possibility and open themselves to the experience as love and healthy and reciprocal. It's something which, kind of that hold, that space that they occupied in other situations, in other people's lives, or even an energetic dynamic of holding space for someone from the past. It seems to be setting a lot of kind of, again, these energetic alarm bells into motion. So they might be, having kind of a struggle to move beyond some people, or even people from the past resurfacing, wanting to kind of stir up that energy of conflict, to kind of bring that person back into that space that, was sort of the norm between these two people for periods of time. Kind of that idea of, wanting attention, whether that's positive or negative, but, people really sensing that the attention has shifted off of them. The attention is shifting instead onto this person, and, wanting to kind of rise beyond circumstances and create something better for themselves. And so sort of a struggle to kind of dislodge themselves, to break out of this cocoon in some way, or to even kind of engage in that process of creating that cocoon for themselves where deep transformation can take place. And they also say, I feel terrible for hurting you. So a lot of regrets that they're having to really move through and deal with about ways in which, as they are starting to recognize maybe their woundings and their distortions had really kind of negatively impacted this connection in the past. There's a sense of really recognizing that what they may have kind of pushed away, what they may have moved away from in terms of this connection and the potential that was there, it's actually something which is really healthy. It's something that's really soothing. It's something that's really healing. It's something that they are in this place now in their life, and vibrationally of wanting that, being, on the precipice of accepting that, or having taken these first steps to readying themselves to accept that fully and to participate in this fully or more completely than they were previously. And so with that comes this awareness that work needs to be done within themselves and within their, their life and their material circumstances, kind of internally and externally, in order to get to that place of, being able to approach, having something very substantial to offer you. At this point in time, they might also be kind of keeping that distance and silence because they feel like with this Page of Pentacles, what they have to offer you, it's just so it's such a beginning at this point in time, and they feel that there's much more that's possible within them. They almost feel that they could do better. They may be holding back at this point in time because it's just what they have to give and what still lies ahead for them, the road ahead in terms of healing and transcendence. There's this understanding that, they're still in this phase of developing, of growing and maturing. There's still some things they need to figure out, tools they need to acquire or hone within themselves. And so there is this desire to kind of change the circumstances, but something definitely is kind of holding them back from doing that at this point in time. Okay, and they say, I talk to you even though you are not here. So telepathy could be really strong with this person at this time. Again, there's this idea of sort of your energy or even memories of the connection being a source of sanctuary for this person. They could even be kind of sort of communicating with you from afar to sort of, it's almost this energy of somebody who is kind of proud of themselves for the steps that they've taken. They might not feel ready to reach out and let you know these things, maybe a significant relationship they've kind of detached from or released, or some kind of a lifestyle or a habit or a pattern that they're working on moving beyond. And there's this sense of that you would be proud of them if you knew this, but they're kind of limiting that communication to the internal landscape. Again, this idea that they have, this knowing that they have, that and everybody's always a work in progress. It's never finished, but there is a sense of with this person that they're just beginning. They are still a work in progress, and that this kind of period of separation and isolation is very necessary for them to kind of develop more fully and to sort of solidify the work that they're doing, kind of laying the groundwork, laying that foundation within themselves so that they have something solid and reliable to present to you. They also say, I call out to you. Know that I am just a thought away. I hear you. So another confirmation there of that telepathy that could be going on, this back and forth, feeling this person energetically around you. This feels like somebody who very consciously is kind of sending you these loving thoughts, is really started to see the light, has started to recognize on some level that pushing this connection away was not in the interest of their higher good, but was necessary all the same in order to really get onto this path, to embark in this process of, shedding aspects of themselves, layers of themselves, parts of their conditioning and their programming and what they had come to call their personality, to really kind of move beyond that, or to, utilize these raw materials in a different way. There's this energy of kind of reconfiguring themselves so that they are leading more from a space of response versus reaction. And so in this process, they're almost sending you that love from afar that maybe in the past they withheld from, and that there is this desire to do something more with in the material world. But again, they're choosing to hold back at this point in time as they kind of go through these growing pains and this process within themselves. They also say, when I ask, will you say yes? Open up your heart and let it begin. So this is definitely somebody who's, in that energy of wanting reconciliation, wanting another chance with you, wanting to start fresh or to do things better this time. Another kind of element to them holding back, and something that they could be dealing with, is this prospect of fear. This idea that whatever has taken place in the past is so egregious that there would be no way you would open your heart to them. A cup of love you may have offered that they had kind of shunned or had ignored or kind of, rejected. There's this idea of seeing the light now, wanting this now, starting to get into that place of preparation and readiness. And with all of that comes sort of this trepidation about, is it too little too late? Have you evolved so much as a person that the spark that existed in one point in time, that no longer exists? This idea that they need to, and kind of one of the challenges is to move beyond that kind of barrier of fear, to take a chance, because it's the truth of who they are, it's the authenticity, and to not allow that chance to be, sort of negated or contorted based on sort of that fear or that dependency on what your response or reaction would be. This feels like somebody who's working up that courage within themselves to speak this truth, maybe in many areas of their life, to speak their truth, to step more fully out of some box they have contained themselves in. And kind of in keeping with that then is this idea of this person wanting to move this situation beyond where you find yourselves currently, to at least knock on that door that hopefully you will open, or will allow them, entry into your heart, into your life once again, or perhaps even for the first time, if this is something that never really got off the ground, kind of this energy of a false start. This feels like somebody who's getting that perspective, who's readying themselves, and in many ways is ready to take that chance on love. And we also have trust in me. It's not like we hoped, but trust in our connection. And in the end, all is possible. So this is somebody who's, again, really leaning into that divine guidance, understanding this kind of internal cue within themselves that there's still some things that need to gestate. There's still some things that need to transform. There's things that need to be let go of. A sense of preparation that needs to occur before the timing will be right or the conditions will be optimal for the two of you to really accelerate this connection or take things to the next level. This person's really trying to stay optimistic and trusting that, the work that they're doing within themselves to raise that vibration, to kind of clear away anything that had been an obstacle internally or externally to the two of you, really stepping into a space of reciprocity with one another to experience and exchange this love in a more complete and unadulterated manner. That it's something where, it's kind of a winding road. It's not, it's an unconventional love story. It's almost, it almost could feel like the energy of a sequel or a trilogy as far as they're looking at it. There could have been several false starts, or just different kind of chapters and chunks that this kind of situation has taken, where you have kind of these encounters and these interactions with each other, and then a lot of this story is kind of written independently. It's sort of this internal work, only to come back together kind of further down the road. And so somebody who's trying to take that kind of wider lens, look at the bigger picture, trust in a greater plan here, that in the end it will all make sense, that what you're going through now, what you've been through with this person in the past, that all of this is really paving the way to kind of the greatest potential of what you can become together in the future. So I'm going to get some guidance for you about this, group 1. Okay, and we have remembrance. So this is really encouragement to, honor and respect and, glean as much wisdom as you can from experiences that were painful, that were difficult with this person in your past. But there's also this guidance to really focus on that core and that spark of love that exists between the both of you. To not excuse or, enable behavior, conduct, or energy that is not in keeping with kind of your own sense of abundance, your own sense of self-love, your own sense of self-worth. Setting those healthy boundaries so that people are kind of given the parameters of, what they must kind of bring out from within themselves in order to, hold space within your life in a tangible way. This idea of we teach people how to treat us. But you're also really guided to, again, not necessarily hold completely the point and development that this person was at, maybe even triggers that existed within them that you didn't know about that caused them to kind of push this connection away in the past. That there's a lot more kind of going on than you know about. There was a lot more going on, and that kind of led into what you experienced with them in the past. And so it's very important as you move forward in your life, and even if in your interactions with this person again, to really hold fast to that core of love that exists between the both of you, to not shame yourself for taking time to look back on the fond memories, create that contrast within yourself where you're willing to honestly recognize things that didn't feel so good, things that you would want to do better or that would need to change in order to entertain this person in your life in the future, but also allowing yourself that space to really sit in that feeling of goodness, that feeling of love that you had for them, and to understand that both of these polarities, both of these things exist, both of these things are necessary, and it makes up the very unique fabric of this dynamic. Both of these aspects really, deserving a place of honor within yourself without overly focusing on one versus the other, but kind of creating this symbiosis, sort of vacillating between these things. By focusing on that kind of core of love, which exists and is ignited in this connection, but exists within you individually and within this person individually as well. Really tapping into that space can help you kind of move beyond also any sort of perceptions of unworthiness, or, just again, kind of occupying sort of that perpetual lower vibration of sort of pain and disappointment. That when you tap into that seed within yourself, you emanate love, you radiate love, you are love, you become love, and you therefore magnetize loving situations to you. So remembering that core of who you are, whether this person continues to do this work, or, whether they choose to kind of stop at some point to limit themselves, to kind of retreat back into that comfort zone, you're really being invited to, remember that although that can be hurtful, it doesn't diminish from the core of who you are, that you are worthy and deserving of healthy and reciprocal love. The universe does not want us to suffer. The universe loves joy. And the universe loves love. It is made up of that, the fabric of that, in all its different colors and manifestations. And so, by focusing on self, by doing that work on self, by, being compassionate with self through this, point of kind of process that you are in, through this point of ascension and evolution that you are in, the universe will in time deliver you somebody, either in the form of this person after they've done this work on themselves, or another heart that is able to receive you and see you and understand you and really meet you and touch you at that level. This idea of, two givers giving to one another, two hearts that are in tandem. So, again, remembering this idea that while the journey may seem lonely at this point in time, or you could still be kind of dealing with and trying to detach yourself from sort of these ideas and expectations and timelines as far as this person is concerned and whatever it is that they choose or don't choose to do in their life. Remembering that you are worthy and deserving of love can help you really hold that vibration, which can also, as this person is saying that they feel you, you're an energetic inspiration to them. Even if they're not able to see you, they're feeling that vibration. And, so by gifting yourself that healing and that self-love, you are in essence providing that gift for this person in terms of some kind of a roadmap, some kind of point on the horizon that, they can't necessarily emulate because we're all individual, but it's a frequency. It's something that they can strive for themselves. And so to never underestimate that, the importance of the work you do within yourself and sort of what that sort of provides, or the potential or possibility that presents to this person as well. Okay, and we also have Merkaba, spiritual protection. So this is really, guiding you to, as you're kind of dealing with some of these heavy emotions, some of this shadow works, stepping outside of your comfort zone, maybe even detaching from the expectation or belief that this person will return to your life at some point in time. Moving forward on your own journey with this openness that in the time and manner that it is meant to, you will have love, you will encounter love. The universe will provide that for you, provided you do that work on yourself, provided you do that work to step beyond comfort zones, to advocate for yourself, to create these boundaries and these barriers, to kind of reclaim your own worth and to step into that truth, to not allow people to, diminish that, or if they diminish that, to not continue to entertain that, to continue to move forward and as much as possible not remain in the energy of stagnancy, actively seeking to heal the wounds that are kind of inflicted or may have been residual from other experiences in your past, or even people and situations that you will encounter moving forward. Through all of this process, you're guided, you're protected in this. It can feel very uncomfortable to step outside of what is known, what is comfortable, maybe even to release a connection or a person you've been holding on to hope for quite some time. But it's something where, organically and at your own pace, when you feel that the time is right for that and that steps need to be taken forward, when you're ready to kind of release this and you're ready to kind of move on in whatever way, you're ready to open your heart to the possibility of love again in the form of even potentially another person other than, this particular person. When you do all of that and through that process, you're really guided to remember that, you are protected, that it is safe for you to take this journey deeply into self. And that on the other side of that, the reward, or kind of the icing on the cake for that, by becoming that love so fearlessly and audibly within yourself, you are able to then emanate that out, and again kind of attract in these vibrations of loving experiences, people that see and recognize that vibration within you, and it's able to be kind of mimicked and mirrored in others. Guidance here as well that, just as with this person, your past need not dictate your future. If some of you are kind of hesitant to open your heart to love again, or to the possibility that there could be maybe something beyond this. Maybe this is a situation where it's kind of, you put your heart on ice, you've put yourself on hold, you've kind of cloistered yourself away because of, the volume of what you've dealt with. Maybe you've invested in yourself on this healing journey and have just kind of, insulated yourself from other experiences out of a need to kind of come back to yourself, to reclaim sort of your lost pieces and cultivate and remember wholeness within yourself. You're also really guided that at whatever point you feel inclined to kind of take steps beyond that, to sort of come out of that cave, out of that hermitage, and to open yourself up to the world. The work you've done within yourself, this light that you emanate and that you are working to cultivate and embody and to express, it's something that what you've encountered before, what you've magnetized in before, you're raising yourself up to a certain level to where you're then naturally going to kind of generate and attract different kinds of experiences. So, just taking steps at whatever pace is comfortable for you to gradually kind of exit those comfort zones. This can also be that sort of energetic example to this person as well, that part of that internal growth process is then bringing that out into the material world. It's almost like the knowledge and wisdom that you obtain. You can't just keep that for yourself. It's a gift. Your healing is a gift. Your authenticity is a gift. And so, expressing that fearlessly and understanding that, that vibration of love, that core of love within you, it is impervious. It is something which, that can't be broken. That can't be shattered. That is eternal. That is true. That is perpetual. As much as everything around us may change. People come, people go, circumstances ebb and flow in our life. And that core reality within you is something that is immutable. So in kind of times of difficulty or uncertainty, or even as you're navigating this process with this person, turning back to that core of self as that sanctuary, as that safe space within yourself can really be that source of inspiration, that recharge that you need to continue to press forward and to kind of detach from outcomes with this person, or to continue to really strive toward cultivating and achieving and being that living example of your best life. So those are your messages, group 1. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the video. If you liked the reading, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the Amethyst cluster. So I'm going to start with some oracle cards to see what this person needs you to know right now. Maybe some things about what's going on in their 3D reality, their internal landscape. Okay, so we have assertion. So this person could be in this process right now of setting some boundaries. On this card here, we have St. George and the dragon. So this person really fighting some fears within themselves, trying to become their own hero in some way or rescue themselves from peril, maybe starting to recognize some toxic patterns within themselves. Kind of this idea of things that they may have really projected blame about, things that they may have really kind of considered themselves to be a victim of. There's this idea of, again, being their own hero, rescuing themselves from sort of these tendencies within themselves, a way in which they have historically kind of looked at the world, or even some kind of distortions or wounds from their past that have kind of lingered, have been festering within them, have kind of led to distortion in how they are able to show up in partnerships. The idea of trust issues is coming up. So maybe this is somebody who, experienced relationships where infidelity was an issue in the past, and they have had a hard time opening themselves up to trusting in love again, or even on the contrast of that, forgiving themselves for something, actions they may have taken in the past that had created this distortion within them that maybe they're a bad person or a flawed person. This feels like somebody who's trying to take their power back from those circumstances, to understand that the best form of apology is changed behavior. But again, there's this kind of this act, this almost struggle, this tug of war between them, between breaking out of kind of these mindsets within themselves, or continuing to just kind of harbor and continue to believe themselves to be powerless against the way they've been showing up in the world before, or even powerless to these ideas that they have developed or that have been sort of contorted within them surrounding the nature of love and partnerships. We've also got impulsiveness. So this can talk about addictions, somebody who has a tendency to be very reactive, somebody with a quick temper or a short fuse, and the ways in which they are starting to recognize that they have really self-sabotaged. Maybe even somebody that's allowed their imagination to kind of run wild, run away from them. This, again, idea of like trust issues coming up that had maybe been sort of a barrier in this connection, somebody who could have been sort of jealous or even leaping to conclusions. Again, based on sort of this energy of maybe a little bit of insecurity within them, something in their past that they had experienced that inhibited their ability to open up to trust, to open up to love. Somebody who had just maybe even equated themselves as, needing to always be on the alert, be on their guard for these red flags, because at any moment, sort of the heart that they have shown, the tenderness they've shown, the relationship that they have built with another, that it would be on almost this shaky foundation. And so almost this energy of being so on guard that they're ready to kind of bolt or leave the relationship at any point in time, or very quickly to kind of retract themselves, to kind of pull back into that heart space, almost out of a protective mechanism. This feels like somebody who has a hard time getting comfortable in relationships. Almost they keep their bags packed. It takes them a very long time to sort of ease into that comfort, ease into that sense of being very secure and trusting. It's very difficult to trust. And this really could have come up as an issue in this connection in the past with you, that it may have felt almost just there was a lot of friction in that no matter how much you tried to create that safe space for this person, that they just weren't letting their guard down. They just couldn't get comfortable. Somebody who was very fidgety within the relationship because of, again, this sort of, this idea of needing to be on guard, needing to be on alert for the potential of heartbreak, for the potential of devastation, maybe a significant heartbreak of the past that they had never properly healed from, or that in some way had, created this illusion within them that, this was just kind of something that either was going to be a necessary or inevitable theme in their life and love in the future, or something that, was so profound and made such an impact that it kind of came in as kind of a ghost of the past, or almost a third party energy in the form of fear and distrust, or the inability to trust very easily. Almost like the baggage or the clutter, or the damage that was done in this other partnership sort of carried forth. Almost like a very profound shadow within this person that kind of interfered in the past with them opening up and expressing their love and trusting themselves enough to use their discernment to, receive a healthy cup of love moving forward. We've also got criticism. So this can, again, kind of relate to wounds of the past that other partners had sort of inflicted upon them, where they really questioned the value and the worth of the love that they had to give. This can also really stem from things in their childhood, kind of mother issues that they may have had a parent, a mother or a mother figure that was not nurturing, that was not supportive of this person, that was overly critical of them, maybe even overly critical of this person's emotional sensitivity, something that really just cause them to put up this wall to kind of close themselves off, cause them to become very self-critical in the process, and really just eroded their self-esteem to some degree about their worthiness and kind of being deserving of love. Somebody who might have also really taken in the criticisms of others and allowed that to almost play puppet master to how they were showing up. Being told that they're a bad person, coming to believe that, and in turn sort of creating actions or behaviors that would sort of match up with that self-fulfilling prophecy, which denotes kind of a lack of self-worth, a lack of belief in their own inherent goodness and their own ability to change. This could be somebody, again, with this idea of criticism that is really having a very difficult time forgiving themselves for the way they've either shown up in this connection in the past, maybe the way that they were just kind of fighting this, or were sort of a source of conflict or stress or de-stress for you in the past, or somebody who, again, maybe the ways in which they had shown up in other sort of relationships prior to this one, that it's something where it has in some way become ingrained within this person. Whatever it was so egregious that they have come to believe themselves incapable of kind of expressing maybe a healthier, healed version of themselves. And so this almost feels like this self-criticism may have created this impulsiveness in this person to sort of push your cup of love away, to reject you, to move away from this connection, almost out of this idea of saving you from themselves, protecting you from this darkness that is within this person, or that they perceive to be within this person. That it was easier also, perhaps even with criticism, to when you were most recently or last dealing with them, to point the blame on you for issues that actually stem from something within themselves. Somebody who, again, with that idea of impulsiveness, could have been accustomed to kind of not taking responsibility, not taking ownership for how their actions and their attitude sort of set the stage in a lot of ways for the dynamics in this connection and in their life in general that they've experienced before, and even kind of currently, that what they're putting out, they're getting back. And so it feels like somebody who's in this process of starting to recognize that, starting to turn that lens around, starting to really look within themselves, and may have come to this place of really pushing a lot of people away. They might find themselves at a very isolated point in their life, to where there is no choice now but to, instead of projecting that blame outward, to kind of turn that lens within. And we also have independence. So again, this is that idea of maybe a lot of relationships having fallen away from this person's life at this point in time, that has really gifted them that time and space, that independence to kind of go within. Somebody who is even making a choice to pull away from distractions, pull away from addictions, pull away from very chaotic relationships or chaotic patterns within themselves in order to kind of take back their power, in order to step into that place of self-forgiveness or even forgiveness of others, forgiveness for the energy of distortion that they were presented with that was inflicted upon them by others who were operating out of kind of that space of wounding. Somebody who's really seeking to divorce themselves from these criticisms, these belief systems that they have, that somehow they are flawed or they are not good or they are not, worthy of kind of redemption in love, that the cup of love they have to give is somehow flawed or insufficient. Somebody who's starting to take their own power back, maybe even breaking away from kind of tendencies toward codependence. Somebody who's really learning to just sort of fill their own cup. Somebody who's learning how to kind of self-sustain. Somebody who's learning how to, not seek out that attention, whether positive or negative. Just the vibration of some form of attention. Somebody who's learning to really be very mindful of what they are feeding into themselves, relationships they're sustaining, media that they are taking in, music that they are listening to. Somebody who may be spending a lot of time in nature, again, a lot of time alone at this point in time to really get to the root to some of these core wounds within themselves that have throughout time kind of asserted themselves, intruded upon this person's ability to experience love and partnership and happiness and kind of cohesive relationships with others, both in the form of this partnership and in their life in general. And we have lust. So again, that can tie in with this energy of infidelity, something they may have experienced in the past that kind of left this lingering trust issue with this person that could have really been kind of a barrier or a wedge in this situation with you in the past, where, maybe they were kind of holding you accountable or holding you to that same standard that somebody prior to you that broke their heart had kind of not been able to live up to that standard, had defied that, had betrayed that trust, had kind of broken that circle or broken that dynamic, had created this sense of fracture within this person. Lust can also relate to, ideas of addiction, maybe even kind of some issues with infidelity that they themselves had been struggling with in their past, either in this connection or in other connections in their romantic history, that they are now in this process of trying to break away from, becoming very assertive, becoming very proactive in working beyond these things and breaking these kind of cycles within themselves so that they can experience different results moving forward. This is somebody who's recognizing their way of moving and operating through the world has kind of limited their ability to experience joy and to be a source of joy for others. That as much as they are kind of putting out this vibration of mistrust, they're also kind of magnetizing in situations for themselves, maybe in other ways that sort of validates that reinforces that idea. And in some way, even vibrationally, they're starting to get this clue, this inclination that something has to change, and it can't be from the perspective of expecting the outside world to change. That change has to happen within. Some part of this person needs to be reined in, or needs to be healed, or needs to be let go of in order to, truly experience change in the types of people and situations they're experiencing, and also to be able to show up differently in connections. We've also got egotism. So this person could really be struggling with taking responsibility, taking acceptance for their role in things, the way they've been showing up in this connection or in their life in general. Somebody who also might have a lot of pride and has a really hard time, if this is not somebody who themselves has been operating out of kind of this energy of infidelity, they have come to or deception even, they have come to really embrace that as kind of part of their worldview. It's a pessimism, it's a skepticism. It's somebody who is kind of always expecting the worst, always expecting sort of the ground to drop out from under them. And pride and ego might definitely be interfering, or is kind of this energy of this dragon that they are needing to combat, to get to this place of releasing belief systems, allowing kind of those wounds to be healed within them, to fall away. This feels like somebody who's become very accustomed to that sense of discomfort. That pessimism has become their comfort zone. And the dynamics of this connection, the energy between the two of you, really could have been that that beacon or that doorway to a new type of experience, a new type of dynamic, a new series of results that were possible in love. And this person is having a very hard time letting go of those narratives, letting go of those expectations, allowing themselves to move in the energy of trust into that space of optimism, that their past need not dictate their future, that change is possible, or again, even kind of rewriting some of these ideas of self-criticism within them, that kind of what they were told, what they were sort of conditioned to believe, that this is a flawed reality, that they are actually much more than kind of the sum of their parts, or kind of the yield of their experiences, or how they've shown up in their life. Somebody who might be very resistant to change, or even kind of opening up and asking for help. This could be somebody that, is in need of some kind of counseling, or is in that process of kind of fighting that resistance, fighting that urge to kind of involve outside parties, even in the form of counselors, some kind of self-help methods, even some kind of a group or a community that they can really kind of get to the root of these things, deal with these traumas and these issues within them that have just kind of been festering and have been kind of gumming up their vibration and what they are able to project out and therefore magnetize in. And we also have exaltation. So this is really talking about self-love, that this person is in this process of learning to love themselves, learning to forgive themselves, learning to step into that space again of trust, that what they have experienced in the past, heartbreak of the past, deception of the past, the way they themselves have shown up in connections of the past need not dictate the future. Somebody who's in this process of learning to surrender to change, that change is possible, that change can and is very difficult, looking at these shadows, owning the things that we are ashamed of, kind of looking in those darkest corners of self, that this is difficult work. It's messy work. It's work that takes a long time. It's multi-layered, and in some ways it's perpetual. Once it has begun, it's something which we continue to come back to from different angles over the course of time. It's sort of like the perpetual work in progress, the perpetual motion machine. It's a machine which is in motion, whether we choose to look at it and deal with it, or whether we choose to ignore it. By dealing with it, we can kind of gain some semblance of control, or at least awareness of maybe these kind of aspects of ourself and how they come up or they manifest. By choosing to sort of ignore that, then we almost are at the whim of these things. We are the puppet and they are the string, the puppet master and the strings that are being pulled by outside circumstances. And so this feels like somebody who's in this process of wanting to kind of cut those strings, wanting to sort of take back that autonomy, that independence, free themselves from limiting ways of showing up in connections, or again, these belief systems, this element of pessimism or kind of hopelessness, or almost this chip on their shoulder that they have, in order to really allow healing to take place, allow themselves to entertain that possibility until it becomes a reality that evolution is possible, change is possible, that what they've come to know and equate with love and connection and romance, that isn't the end of the story, that there's still so much more than that they have yet to experience. But with that comes this kind of requirement of surrender. And we also have health. So this person could be focusing on their mental health at this point in time, their emotional health, their physical health. This can talk about, again, somebody who's maybe getting some help for addictions of any variety. This can even be, an addiction to belief systems, addiction to kind of these self-deprecating thoughts, all the way up to, people that are struggling with alcohol or with drugs as a way to kind of sort of numb the pain or the shame that they feel within themselves. But somebody who's really starting to prioritize themselves, who's really starting to recognize and take some action steps, even just in the form of opening their mind to the possibility of something else. It might be very small at this point, again, kind of ego being a factor. There's this energy of resistance here as well, to kind of break out of patterns, break out of habits, to open themselves up to the possibility of something more. But they are kind of on this upswing toward moving in a healthier direction, toward prioritizing their own peace of mind and their own wellness in a variety of ways, and stepping out of this kind of this toxicity that exists within them or is kind of magnetized around them in their material world. And we also have resourcefulness. So this can again talk about somebody who's reaching out for help, somebody who may even be kind of praying for assistance, praying for guidance, somebody who's, at that place of surrender, of knowing something has to give, knowing something has to change, maybe exploring new options within themselves that they had yet to anticipate before. Somebody also with this, this jug here who's really at this stage of wanting to dig into their emotions, things they had been unwilling to recognize before, core wounds within them that then manifested as patterns and habits. They're starting to recognize the need at this point in time, if they hope to have change in their life, and again, it feels like some kind of a crossroads period that they're at where they have a decision to continue forward in the same behavior and therefore achieve basically the same results that they've had, or to take a different approach instead of kind of going outward for that validation, outward to kind of cover or numb whatever is sort of wounding them from within, that there's this crossroads point, this choice to go deeply within, to take that voyage inside, to seek to come to the root of some things that have really been kind of a factor for them and inhibited the flow and the health of the love even that existed between the two of you in the past, or even this potential that existed that because of this person's distortions and woundings and belief systems, they were unable or unwilling to participate in this love in the past. They may have rejected you. They may have kind of pushed this cup of love away. Or again, if you're in a connection with them, maybe this idea of kind of jealousy or looking for red flags, some way to self-sabotage because they really didn't feel worthy of this. They kind of had come to believe this part of themselves was so fractured and so damaged that it was almost easier to, push this away before they themselves were kind of rejected or further damaged by a romantic connection. So I'm going to get a little bit of tarot to get some clarification for you, group 2, about this. Okay, and we have death. And with this card here, this illustration, this is a reproduction of a painting about Ophelia, and which is it's a story basically of kind of giving up, of hopelessness, and this definitely fits in with what this person is kind of going through right now. They're at this point of hopelessness. They can't continue on as they have been in their circumstances. This is somebody who might be going through a very dark period of time right now, a dark night of the soul energy. They're at the brink of, recognizing, for better or worse, that certain aspects of themselves, certain ways in which they've kind of moved through the world and through this connection need to be abandoned. There's nothing more that can be productively accomplished in these things, that almost kind of this process of self-sabotage that they have been in. With this energy, though, of kind of endings in surrender is also this potential to kind of rise up, to revive oneself from this. And so it feels like somebody who's kind of struggling in this dark period right now. There's not a lot of light that they can see. There's a lot of resistance to this difficult work and change that needs to be made. But an important kind of juncture is happening right now through that very act of surrender, through that very act of understanding that their method and their way of doing things, what they've been kind of carrying around, this baggage and these trust issues, that it's yielding sort of rotten fruit for them. It's something which is really it's almost annihilating the potential of really beautiful and good experiences through what they've been bringing in, through kind of the tone that they have been setting, or the ways in which they may have even been kind of derailing the connection or other connections in their life almost unconsciously, again, out of this kind of idea of not being worthy and not being deserving. So a lot of endings could be happening for this person, a period of kind of metamorphosis that they're then needing to go into, maybe getting some kind of, again, counseling or help to deal with some of these things that are, it's almost beyond their capacity to do this very privately. This feels like something that, they're needing to involve kind of outside parties to some extent in this, even if it's just somebody to talk to, even if it's just somebody to open up about. On this lust card here with this image of the volcano, it feels like a lot that this person has really held within, wounds that they've kept deeply buried, or kind of these distortions about who they are that it's just ready to burst. It's ready to come out. It's at this point where, something has to give, something has to change, something has to be let go of within this person in order for kind of this newness to come forth. And we've also got the Two of Cups, so that really talks about love and partnership. So definitely this could stem from some kind of heartbreak of the past, or some way in which they've conducted themselves in relationships up to this point in time, that they are having a very hard time breaking out of, breaking away from this, transcending this. But at the same time, there is this idea, this notion that what they've been doing has kind of been that recipe for disaster. This is this idea of self-sabotage, that, there as this imagery here, and this man holding this cup, where they're starting to recognize that instead of projecting that blame out, they need to start really reflecting in, they need to start really cleaning up their side of the street, in whatever way that resonates, in order to be able to, show up more adequately in romantic connections with others. Somebody who's starting to almost recognize some of this debris or baggage that they've been carrying around with them, and how that has kind of left them in this perpetual state of armament against kind of receiving and experiencing healthy and reciprocal love. Again, this idea of trust issues, or somebody who's kind of super alert and always on guard, and just kind of waiting for that other shoe to drop, and starting to recognize, even with what has really been triggered through the dynamic of this particular connection, how they kind of are in this habit or pattern of sabotaging wish fulfillment, sabotaging their own happiness, getting in their own way. Somebody who is kind of at this point of needing to let down that guard, to heal some things within themselves, so that they are able to kind of open up and be vulnerable, to allow more of their true self to be seen, including these aspects of self that they might not necessarily be so proud of, things that they're needing to work through, or again, these kind of wounds or distortions that have been sort of implanted in them by others. And we also have the Star. So this is that energy of kind of that dark night of the soul, but coming out of it. This is somebody who they're at this place of really surrendering to this understanding that the way they've been doing things, it's not working. Something has to give, something has to be shaken up. They're looking for the light. They can't really find that within themselves. Whatever they were kind of numbing or distracting themselves from, they're seeing that as almost the antithesis of hope. That it's been contributing to this hopelessness, this hopeless situation that they keep perpetuating. This state of something they've been kind of dragging around with them, that has kept them in this very low vibration. It has kind of resulted in them being a low vibrational presence for others. There's a desire to change. There's a desire for something else. There may even just be like one grain of hope left. Somebody who feels they have one more opportunity to get things right, or somebody who is recognizing this connection as that beacon of hope. Something that they're really wanting to invest and do this work on themselves in order to reach that point of kind of health within themselves, health and wholeness in a variety of ways, where they have something adequate to offer. They have something productive to give. They can be a source of sustenance to you and to a romantic connection, as opposed to kind of a force which depletes or takes away from sort of the energy of romance and love. And we also have the Chariot, which is a card of movement and of balance and of drastic action being taken. So again, some kind of maybe divine intervention that is taking place, or somebody who is very prepared and very willing and is kind of reaching that point of major changes even in their material world needing to take place. Something that they've not done before, something that has needed to occur for quite some time for this person, somebody who is sort of preparing themselves internally, getting to that point of surrender to where the universe is then allowed to kind of step in and make these changes, make these shifts for this person. This is an energy of an unstoppable force that, as much as their ego might be coming up, this resistance, really fighting these changes that are wanting to take place, it's almost like forces greater than them are recalibrating this. Something has been sparked by this connection with you. Something has been sparked within this person, has been illuminated within this person. There is a potential now of something different. They have touched upon something different than what they have experienced in love and partnership in the past. A part of themselves has really been awakened, this potential within them that now wants to be birthed, that wants to kind of crumble and clear away into ash all which no longer serves them, so that, like the phoenix, kind of that best version of self can rise up. So a lot of transitions happening for this person, major life changes for them. This process that they're in, this dark night of the soul that they are in, this ascension journey that they are now embarking upon, kind of going down into those depths of self, really looking in that mirror, really looking at some things that they've wanted to avoid, really looking at the ways in which they have allowed other people's actions and projections to in some way distort or color their view of themselves. And kind of moving away from that, reclaiming their independence, being very assertive, taking back their power, taking back control of their life in some capacity in order to really shift the direction of where they're headed and the experiences that they are having. And we also have the Emperor. So again, major process of taking their power back from any ways in which they've been sort of selling themselves short, any ways in which they have felt less than worthy and deserving of love. This is somebody who is in this process of mastering that ego within themselves, mastering that pride, learning to accept assistance, learning to kind of let down this belief that how they've been operating is the proper way. Anyone that's been used to kind of reacting or pointing that finger of blame is again starting to redirect that focus within, take responsibility for themselves, and kind of move out of this energy of apathy and pessimism, and starting to be shown or have this desire to take concrete action steps, seek out the resources that are necessary, do that internal work. Do that shadow work, seek to really cultivate and unearth that core of love that exists within them in order to, become that light in the darkness that they are seeking, learning to find balance with that, learning to come to a place of peace, both in the light and shadow aspects of who they are as well. And we've also got the Three of Pentacles. So again, this idea of kind of a work in progress, starting from basics, rebuilding a foundation in some way. Major lifestyle changes that this person is needing to embark on, is perhaps starting to embark on. A lot that is crumbling down, that is needing to be capsized from their life so that they can build properly, so that they can build again, so that they can recreate themselves again. Changes that they may have had a very difficult time implementing. They are now at this point of wanting to set these things in stone, to move out of an energy of excuses and kind of blame into, again, this assertiveness to where they're taking control. They are becoming the master of their own destiny. Somebody who's starting to look at their own life and the work that they do on themselves is kind of the greatest work of art that they can invest in, that investing in themselves, investing in kind of healing and transcending wounds and obstacles, that it's something of great value, it's something of great worth, it is worth the effort, not just in terms of what's the potential of what can happen in this connection in the future, but also for themselves, to in some way liberate themselves, as we see here with this statue that's kind of been cut out from the surrounding bedrock, block, this person really seeking to unearth that best version of self, to cut away from the illusion, or, you know, even how they've been showing up in the past. Somebody who is opening up to the idea that change is possible. It is difficult, it is arduous, but it is so worth the effort in order to really render themselves into kind of a better version, a more solid and stable and reliable version than who they have been previously. Somebody who is, you know, stepping into this place of learning to trust themselves in order to, you know, be able to then extend that trust to others in romance and in their life. So I'm going to get some messages from this person's higher self for you, group 2. See, what do they want to tell you? They say, I check on you from afar. So despite any distance or the way this person might have pushed you away or kind of pulled themselves away from this connection, maybe some trust issues that were triggered, or again, this idea of armament where they weren't necessarily, you know, willing or able or ready to let love in the past, that they've not forgotten about you. You have very much been in their mind, in their heart. Something about this connection, this experience has been very catalyzing for them. It feels almost like something that has shaken them. The way that they conducted themselves, or kind of that choice to not participate in this, some realization has happened in the aftermath of that they've in a profound way pushed away wish fulfillment, healing, a different kind of experience in love than what they have, you know, experienced in the past. That you're a very different person than other people they've surrounded themselves with. The vibration that you hold, the vibration that the two of you alchemize together through your connection. It's so different from what is created in other situations and other dynamics. This feels like somebody who sees you almost as this source of peace, or a point of peace for them that they have really always been yearning for. This feels like somebody who's been very conflicted within themselves. A lot of kind of distortions about self-esteem that need to be sort of cut away from and eroded in order to really step into that place of self-acceptance and to recognize their own wholeness. And in some way they're looking at you as an example of that. Maybe some kind of self-healing journey that you have been on, some glow up that has occurred, even just kind of observing you vibrationally and how you move through the world in general, that this is an inspiration. It is motivation for this person to enter into that place of surrender. You know, maybe you've gone through some profound spiritual awakening, and, you know, this person could have been sort of hesitant to really embark on that same path, maybe for what they saw sort of the cost of that was, what you were required to sacrifice or move away from or let go or to eradicate from your life, and sort of how messy or long and drawn out or arduous that process was. And, you know, initially kind of witnessing that, participating in that, hearing about that, or even energetically feeling into that, it could have really kept this person at a distance. Like it wasn't something they wanted to involve themselves in. It wasn't something they wanted to embark on. It was too messy. It was too costly. It was too much out of the comfort zone. But that something has really shifted for you. You've sort of come through that darkness and you've become that light for yourself, in yourself, and in the world around you. And that shift within you is really, it's helping to inspire this person to just let go, to surrender to what, you know, will inevitably to some degree be a messy and a long process for them. But they're starting to see that on the other side of that, hope is possible, restoration is possible, that on the other side of this crumbling, something better, something more authentic has the potential to really be honed and to be unearthed and to be crafted through this process. And we also have soulmate. So they are definitely recognizing you as a very unique connection, a very divine connection that is beyond what they have experienced in their past, or what is presently in their life. This feels like somebody who is starting to have a lot of gratitude for you, for, you know, even just a very messy dynamic that might have existed between the both of you, but some kind of an energetic standard that you have set for them, some kind of an example that you are showing for them. The ways in which you are seeking to love yourself is helping them to identify how they must also embark upon this work. This feels like something where, this person is almost recognizing kind of like a past life connection or some kind of contractual obligation between the both of you. Something they may have even been able to pick up on initially that could have been kind of scary or startling for this person. Something about the intensity or the importance of this with all this major arcana out here with tarot. And this is talking about like a major stage, a very impactful time, or a very significant connection or experience, and something about that, even vibrationally, kind of the odor of that could have really been sensed by this person initially, that caused them to recoil into that comfort zone, or sort of push this away or sabotage that in an effort to sort of resist this very major transformation that in some way this dynamic, or even just the energy exchange between the both of you has really been intended and effectively sort of sets in motion kind of these wheels of breakdown in order for kind of newness and authenticity to emerge. And they also say, I wish I could take it back. So this can really refer to any kind of rejection, any ways in which this person really pushed you away, or actions that they may have taken that were, very damaging, very hurtful, really eroded your trust and your confidence in this connection. It's something that this person is really grappling with. They're really regretting that. If that was words or actions, or even just inaction and resistance, it's something that they're recognizing that element of self-sabotage. This has been a very crucial teaching moment and experience for this person, regardless of if the two of you reconcile in the future, based on the nature of these circumstances, especially if there is infidelity involved. This might be somebody that you just are not willing to entertain back into your life. This could be part of your self-healing, your self-love process, is that, loving yourself enough to recognize your worth and to honor that, and to be very open about, if you don't feel you can trust this person again, you're unwilling to open your heart, honoring yourself enough to keep that boundary, to recognize that, as much as there might be a core of love here, to really prioritize your own sense of fulfillment and your own sense of kind of safety and security, in the sense of really prioritizing a relationship where you don't have to walk on eggshells, where you don't, have that very big elephant in the room, or that thing that you're always thinking of, that shoe now that you would always be kind of afraid, is that going to drop again? And that doesn't diminish the love you can hold in your heart for this person, but this can also be that kind of test, or that example of, really prioritizing yourself. Not stepping out of a comfort zone that you have established for yourself, boundaries that you've established, ways in which you've taken back your power and you're recognizing your own worth. So again, regardless of if this is something where reconciliation would be a possibility, this person is definitely thinking back, and it's been very educational for them. This has been a turning point for them, whatever has happened. And with that, even the lesson that maybe, in this lifetime, this situation between the two of you can't be repaired in the 3D sense. But this is motivation for this person to seek and to become and do better, so that they don't inflict the same kind of hurt upon others, so that they don't inflict the same kind of hurt upon themselves in the future through this kind of toxicity that they may have displayed, through the ways in which their manifestations of wounding in the form of jealousy and trust issues, how that kind of sabotaged or pushed away something that had the potential to be very beautiful and long lasting. And we also have, you are always on my mind. So again, that idea about wishing they could take it back. They're thinking about what has occurred, the circumstances between you in the past, seeing you from a new perspective, starting to recognize this connection, as difficult as these circumstances have been, and as difficult as this kind of, looking in the mirror at themselves and taking responsibility and breaking out of certain kind of cycles and habits within themselves, that, this is not out of sight, out of mind. This has stayed with them. If some of you have been, kind of wondering, or something really occurred, and it just felt that this person just kind of discarded you or moved forward without a second thought, without a care in the world, from their higher self, they're letting you know that that's not the case. This has stayed with them. This has been kind of a crucial and pivotal experience for them in their life, something that is really, in many ways, opening the door to almost their greatest personal transformation connection in this life as well. Kind of this deep energy of regret that is then that gateway into surrender, into kind of self-forgiveness, self-compassion, and again, apology in the form of changed action. Using this opportunity as kind of that fuel or that lesson to step into that best version of self, to create something, beautiful and meaningful out of a very kind of painful experience or a painful reality of who they were and how they were operating in relationships and this connection specifically. They also say, insecurities keep me away. I hope one day I can be brave and tell you just how much I love you. So again, a lot of regret that this person is dealing with, feeling a lot of shame for how they conducted themselves, how they treated you, or, were kind of unappreciative of you in the past, any actions they may have taken or words that may have been said. Somebody who recognizes an apology may be very necessary, or at least opening up about feelings for you that they have had inside for a very long time, for the whole time, in fact. That they were just unwilling to show, that it was easier to kind of push you away, to reject this connection, rather than really allow themselves to be seen, to be vulnerable. Somebody who became very accustomed to and very comforted by that space of discomfort. And so almost when this healing or this redemption in the form of a different kind of love presented itself, it was easier to just sort of push that away, to stay in that pessimism or that predictable energy of what they had come to know love and connections about. Maybe when that wasn't manifesting in this situation, then they felt the need to kind of take matters into their own hands and create that dissonance, create that crumbling or that energy of despair. And it's something where, in hindsight, upon reflection, they're feeling a lot of regret about that. About not operating from that vein of love and instead choosing the route of fear. They also say, please wait for me. I am working up the courage to come to you. When you do, I can see our hearts beating as one. So they still feel very connected to you. Again, maybe kind of looking to you as inspiration in terms of a self-healing journey that you have been on, or some kind of vibration you've cultivated within yourself. It's definitely with this idea of brave and of courage, this person recognizing that fear has been kind of that dictating factor, that puppet master in their life for quite some time, needing to really kind of walk through those walls of fear, allowing themselves to kind of succumb and surrender to this process of transformation, acknowledging even that they've been operating with fear, that they have essentially in their life and in this connection have really been disarming themselves. They've been a disservice to themselves and a disservice to you. And again, this idea of kind of the best apology being changed behavior, and even if it's something where reconciliation isn't possible in the future, it feels like something where this person may one day or at some point they feel the need to almost make amends, to reach out, to at least in some way, regardless of how you receive that or how you sort of take that. This feels like something that it feels very important for this person to kind of further down the road to make some kind of expression to you about sort of the truth of their motivations, the truth of their feelings, what they have discovered, what they have learned, and then, really leaving that up to you with what you will do with that information, whether it's just some kind of additional form of closure for you, some kind of vindication for you, or whether this is something where, you feel that this relationship can be picked up again, that you guys can start again, you can start fresh, or again, pick up where you left off. They also say, I can feel you by my side. Remember that our higher self is always helping each other in this journey. So again, this energy of inspiration, feeling very motivated by you, seeing you as that beacon, as kind of that source of hope, that on the other side of these transitions and these transformations that are needing to take place and that are starting to take place within this person's life, kind of these winds of change that are sort of shaking things up, crumbling things, moving pieces around in their life, that there's a recognition that, on the other side of all of that, is the possibility of love, is this core of love, is this kind of grain of love, whether this is in the form of reconciliation with you in the future, or that love that this person is needing to kind of cultivate and uncover within themselves, so that moving forward in their life, they are able to kind of generate and magnetize in and show up as a healthier presence for others in a variety of ways and forms and connections. They also say we learn from our karma, so we will be strong. So again, a very heavy energy here, a very kind of dark night of the soul, ego death that might be taking place for this person, where, you know, a lot of this, what is happening is kind of the result of their own actions. They're kind of sitting in the bed that they have made at this point in time, which is a very necessary process. Having a lot of things falling away, having not really having that opportunity to place blame, but really being sort of forced to take responsibility to kind of eat the meal that they have created for themselves. But not in the sense of necessarily needing to punish them or to create this kind of eternal condition for them, but for the intention of teaching them, showing them sort of the fruits of what they have been putting out, in order that they may come to a place of learning and dedicating themselves to sowing better seeds in the future. So I'm going to get some guidance for you about the situation group 2. Okay, and we have let go. So this is really this encouragement with this this Ace of Swords here, this almost the fiery sword of Archangel Michael is coming through. That cord cutting meditations might be a very good exercise for you at this point in time. Calling in Archangel Michael for that truth and that clarity, to assist you in this process, to help free you from any pain that this circumstance may have caused that might be lingering, that you might even be picking up from this person as they're going through this process of reckoning in their own life. That, you know, prioritizing your own health, your own emotional health, your mental health, your physical health, you know, your spiritual health, your own well-being, that's kind of the key. That's the lesson out of this whole experience. Letting go of any kind of urge to fix or to heal this person, and to recognize that what they are being tasked with, just in the same way that you are being tasked with, is to take personal ownership of this process. To, you know, work as much as you can to free yourself from any kind of resentment or hurt or despair that this circumstance, or where you find yourself at this point in time with this person. You know, forgiveness in the sense of not for the other person's benefit, but to liberate yourself. Maybe a kind of a crucial sort of theme or energy that you might want to focus on at this point in time. You know, if this is somebody that you would want a reconciliation with in the future, letting go of that kind of energy of a timeline or an expectation, allowing this to develop very organically, allowing this person, trusting that this person has been affected, a switch has been flipped, something has been catalyzed or has really been initiated within this person, allowing that process to unfold as it will, allowing this person to make the choice to, you know, dive into this healing journey, to take responsibility for their actions, to make these changes possible, so that, you know, if reconciliation happens in the future between you, it has the most kind of optimal possibility of being lasting, being something very genuine, because it has been generated within this person, by this person, and for this person first and foremost. You know, this may even be some kind of a lesson or an example for you in maybe healing any kind of you know, codependent tendencies that you may have had that could have enabled some of this kind of shadowy behavior from this person, or any ways in which your perception of your worthiness of love, your deserving of love, the cup of love you have to offer, and how you have kind of come to measure that as a result of this experience, maybe even some devastation that's happened from that. Seeking out the healing in whatever way is possible for yourself, seeking to restore yourself. Again, that idea of the greatest work of art that one can endeavor is that work on oneself. Taking up that mantle, making that a priority, if that has already been your priority, to continue along that path. And sort of the more you free yourself, you provide that liberation for yourself from circumstances, or kind of the residue that has been left by your encounters with this person or even other people in your romantic past, or in your past in general. The more you do that, that you're that source of liberation for yourself, the more you have this ability to transcend, to be that beacon, to be that guiding light or that arrow for others vibrationally, whether it's this person or others that you encounter, that change is possible, that transcendence is possible, that the most difficult or disappointing circumstances that we encounter and experience need not dictate our future. We are always faced with a choice of defeat, or a choice to make efforts to overcome and to triumph and to rise beyond. And so the situation feels very crucial in this time that you are at right now. What's going on with this person internally and externally, in the ways in which you're able to perceive that and are sensitive to that energetically, that this is a crucial juncture for you as well, to either choose that road of fear to remain stuck, to remain in these patterns, or remain defeated or jaded, or somehow, to become overly guarded or wounded by what has occurred in this situation, or to choose that road of love, to liberate yourself, infuse yourself with that love and compassion that you need, the time and space you need, the resources you need to heal from this circumstance, so that you are able to unearth that best version of self, and really move forward with confidence, turning this pain that you've experienced into wisdom, into power, and a weapon going forward that arms you with better discernment, arms you with those better boundaries, so that you cultivate that within yourself. And again, that ultimate act of self-love, that even if this person returns in the future, if it's something that you are not comfortable, you don't feel that you can fully trust them, or you're not satisfied with sort of the results that they are presenting to you, honoring yourself enough to let this connection go with love, honoring the love that you've cultivated and discovered inside first and foremost, nurturing that above all else, and really, setting that standard, stepping confidently into that standard, that you're unwilling to entertain vibrations that are not able to kind of meet and match you with that frequency. Okay, and we also have Key of Light. So this is really encouraging you to, despite what is going on with this person or what has happened in the past, to focus on sort of the blessings that may come out of this very difficult situation, or what might have come out before, or already from this circumstance. That whatever darkness that you've experienced, the steps that you are taking, or are even contemplating taking, to become that light in the darkness, to seek that balance between the shadow and the light within you. Your healing journey can be a key to other people's salvation as well, in the form of inspiration, or just the vibration that you're cultivating, that you're holding within yourself. In some way, your story with this person might be very important. This could be something that, in the future could really, again, be that inspiration to others, that helping hand, that key to their own process of liberation, their own process of transcendence, their own process of, not allowing the past to kind of dictate the future, but, really understanding that change is possible, that it occurs within first and foremost, and then is able to really kind of magnetize in circumstances and people and situations that are resonant with that. And, so taking the time to, call upon your angels, ask for divine assistance, divine intervention, even sending this person loving energy if you feel so inclined to do that. They feel like somebody who's going through a lot of heaviness, a lot of darkness, a lot of kind of rude awakenings, and a lot of harsh truths at this point in time. And while we all must be responsible for our own kind of journey in this, it's never harmful to send somebody love. To kind of wish them well, release them in love, and to cultivate a space within yourself, eventually at whatever point feels comfortable for you. It might even be kind of a place within yourself that's difficult to maintain, and that's okay too, of really recognizing that we're all kind of working with the tools that we have at the time, and that doesn't excuse kind of bad behavior or poor treatment, but at the same time, taking that wider lens and seeking to really understand or kind of empathize with where this person might have been coming from. Again, that idea of hurt people. And when you're able to kind of step back from that, step out of that emotion and, touch into that core of wounding, recognizing how that core of wounding is also mirrored in different aspects within yourself, recognizing ways in which, that core wound within you, or wounds plural within you, how that might have manifested and how you've treated others in your life, how you may have kind of operated out of that energy of fear as opposed to love. It can help to really widen that space of compassion. It can help you to transition beyond any sort of darkness or density, any kind of negativity and wounding that you feel in conjunction with this. To gain that perspective where, in this energy of light, you're able to kind of release this, you're able to kind of move beyond this, you're able to use this experience as kind of a key of wisdom, something that you fashion out of this negativity so that it's not a limiting experience. It's not something that diminishes you or in some way impedes your ability to experience love and connection, either with this person in the future in the form of other romantic connections that might come in for you, but you instead, use this as a key of discernment. You arm yourself with this, not to the point where you're pushing away opportunities, but where you're really trusting yourself to properly vet partners in the future, to, stand up for yourself, to advocate for yourself in ways that you might not have been able to do in the past or with this person because of the intensity of love you felt for them or still feel for them. You might have let a lot slide. You might have really compromised your own value and worth and your own standards in the interest of kind of accommodating this person, coming to that place of forgiveness for yourself, also for this person and what they really demonstrated to you, again, from the perspective of what had influenced that, where they're operating from. Can be that key to kind of moving beyond this, to healing, to opening up that next chapter, stepping through that door to the next phase of your own personal healing journey, where you're able to really be that beacon of light because you are able to accept and recognize and own and incorporate within yourself kind of that contrast of darkness and what you've been through with this person and in other areas of your life as well. So those are your messages, group 2. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, group 3. You chose the Malachite. So I'm going to start with some oracle cards to get a feel for what do they need you to know right now. What's kind of going on in their life and their internal landscape at this time. Okay, so we have bluff. So this person could be kind of withdrawn from family, from friends at this point in time, a sense of almost feeling like a stranger in a crowded room, feeling very out of place in their environment, this urge to kind of go within, to maybe even sort of clear away any sort of illusions that they may have had. They could be, really starting to see people in their life, seeing their true colors, seeing beyond sort of these illusions that they had about who these people are, maybe the motivations of people in their life, maybe people or things that they've been participating in that were not such a positive influence on them, or things that didn't really have their best interest at heart. Somebody who is almost starting to recognize how they may have also been living from a degree of inauthenticity, kind of people pleasing, or going through the motions to meet others' expectations, and in some way they've not really been living their own personal truth. They have not been doing what is best for them, but almost doing what they feel others have expected of them. And we have order. So this can talk about kind of an established culture, or some kind of a religion, some kind of a tradition, maybe even some kind of a legacy, somebody's shadow that they have been living in. That can relate to, what they're doing for a living. Maybe people in their family across many generations have been in a particular profession, and so kind of by default, this person just went into that profession. It might not have been something that, necessarily resonated with them, with their personality. Maybe they had other goals and dreams, but there's a sense of almost keeping these things hidden. Not really being able to express these things, feeling this pressure to, again, just kind of fall in line, fit in with this legacy, or what others had expected of them. A sense, too, of this person really putting on kind of a facade or a front that everything is fine, everything is good in their life, that they're happy where they are. This person, if you're able to kind of see them on social media, they could be putting up a lot of photos where they're presenting that they're happy and they're having a really good time, and they're loving their life as it is. They're living their best life, and everything's great. Nothing could be better. But there's a sense of this being a facade. There's a sense of this just being kind of a cover, like a cover story that they are putting out there. If this is, even kind of people that they are involved with at this point in time, there's a sense of whatever is being depicted or being shown or being presented, that this is not in actuality what is happening beneath the surface, behind closed doors in these circumstances, or even behind the closed doors of this person's kind of psychology and their subconscious world, that internal landscape, that they're presenting kind of this image of being very put together and being very content with where they are, but that inside it's quite a different story. And we have negotiation. So this can again be this energy of kind of compromise or sacrifice, maybe dreams that this person had given up on or had not pursued, in the interest of really kind of meeting other people's expectations, kind of a people-pleasing tendency. And it's something to where it's feeling like a sacrifice to this person. There's a sense of discontent. This person could almost be somebody who is also or has gone through some kind of a spiritual awakening, and is having a very difficult time kind of maintaining the order of the life that they'd created with themselves prior to that point. They're uncovering a lot more about themselves. They're recognizing ways in which they've kind of abandoned themselves and their authenticity and their truth in order to sort of fit into a particular image or a particular expectation that others had. This could even really relate to kind of the circumstances in this connection with you, where maybe the nature of this connection, you two could have been very different, from different cultures, different backgrounds, some kind of an age difference between you, just any kind of based on the nature of the circumstances, your relationship to one another, that dynamic, and in some way that this person felt that it was almost taboo. It was something that wouldn't have been approved of. It would have been, rejected by others, or they themselves would have been judged by others. And almost to fit in with this status quo or the expectations, not following their heart, but instead, choosing kind of this energy of perception, what looks right, what looks proper. And they could have really sacrificed this connection, moved away from this connection, not chosen to embark upon this connection because of how different those circumstances are from kind of the expectations. So in a lot of ways, it feels that some kind of a wake-up call has happened, some kind of a shake-up has happened, or even just in the aftermath, since you two maybe went into some kind of a separation, or this person sort of pushed this away, or didn't choose to invest in this, it has remained with them. This energy of negotiation also really talks about this back and forth energy where this person feels very called, very compelled, very drawn to take different steps in this, to reach out, to make change, to act where maybe they held back, or to take back some of the things that they said, to go back on a choice that was made. But they're having a difficult time kind of breaking out of the order of things. They're having a hard time breaking away from traditions, still in this energy of really compromising and sacrificing portions of themselves, sacrificing their happiness in order for something else that is established or is expected of them. And we also have domination. So this can talk about power struggles. This can talk about very strong personalities in their life, maybe other people that they are involved in. Again, that idea of that behind closed doors, it's a very different story, where this person is having to really sacrifice. They're having to go to great lengths in order to keep and maintain the peace. That in some way their autonomy, who they are, it's not respected, it's not honored. This feels like somebody who's very conquered by their circumstances, somebody who's always in this energy of needing to almost vanquish conflict or even doubts within themselves. Somebody who's got this urge to make a different choice in this connection, and different choices in their life in general. And it's a struggle to really kind of maintain that mask, maintain that facade, continue on as if, maintain that status quo. It's a sense of they feel very disempowered, very disarmed by the circumstances they find themselves in, and choices that they continue to enable or have made in the past. And we also have drama. So again, more of that energy of conflict and power struggles, and just again, not really wanting to rock the boat, not really wanting to shake up the status quo, not wanting to disappoint people. And at the same time, this element of kind of drama and domination, this can talk about, again, what's really being shaken up within this person's life and other areas of their life, other aspects of their life, as kind of they're seeing the true colors of people. They're seeing kind of beyond these masks and facades that others are presenting. They're recognizing the ways in which they've really compromised themselves in a lot of ways in order to fit into a certain image or perception, and that this is creating a lot of conflict within themselves. It's stirring up a lot within themselves. There's a lot of anger within themselves for having almost abandoned themselves in their authenticity to kind of fit into this role or this niche that other people have established for them. And again, this can really talk about a lot of fights that are happening in sort of their domestic situation, maybe even a lot of drama and conflict at work that's going on right now, or with family, with friends, maybe people that are not really understanding or liking or able to accept or that aren't adjusting well to sort of this transition within this person. Any kind of energy of a spiritual awakening and kind of what is shifting in their vibration, that it's shaking up the outside circumstances. The turmoil within is reflecting the turmoil without. The change within is emanating without as well. As this person is kind of raising their vibration, as they are kind of rising in their awareness and their perception, it is necessarily creating almost this reverberation into their outside circumstances, where what is not in alignment with that, or what doesn't have the potential to kind of move forward with them into this new phase of their life, is being shaken up. It's being stirred up. Conflict and friction is happening in order to kind of dislodge these energies, or sort of move away from these situations, people, places, and things that are not intended to kind of progress forward with this person from this point in time. This can also be people that are kind of resistant to this person elevating, moving beyond, questioning their reality, or what it, how it is they have built their life and what they're participating in. People that are having a very difficult time or resisting letting go of this person, maybe even a relationship or a situation or a work situation, something with family and friends that they're trying to kind of extract themselves with, they're trying to move away from, they're trying to kind of, sort of gently sort of push this out of their life, and this other person or these other people are putting up a lot of resistance. They're kind of gripping onto this even more tightly. They're creating a lot of kind of waves and stirring things up for this person, even to try and knock this person off their peg a little bit, to try and get them to react, to get them to kind of move back down into that lower vibration that these people may have been really accustomed to before, trying to exert their domination, exert their power over this person, almost a sense of resentment at the liberation that this person is experiencing within, that is then even just being energetically projected out as kind of this momentum toward liberation in their outside circumstances. And we also have adaptability. So this really talks about changes that are occurring within this person, in that internal landscape, in that internal vibration. This person could be going through a lot of ascension symptoms at this point in time, just feeling very discombobulated and like a lot is changing. Masks are being uncovered, relationships and circumstances, and even parts of who this person had identified as themselves previously. They're starting to move beyond that. They're starting to overcome these things, to kind of get the upper hand, or in some way to really kind of take that as assertive control, wow, to overcome these things. Okay, so that tongue-tied energy right there, it feels like a lot of what's happening here, these kind of knots or these circumstances in this person's life are proving to be very difficult to extract themselves from. It's even if it's not people, it's just a certain vibration that they had, a certain belief system, a mindset, a perception of themselves that, change is afoot. They want change. They've kind of had this glimpse of something else, but this process of kind of uprooting this or kind of moving away from this or pushing this out of their life, there's a lot of resistance involved in that. It's a very sticky process. It's a very delicate process. It's a very almost like one step forward, two steps back. The more this person, starts to expand and grow, the more these things kind of tighten their grip on that, are not wanting to let this person get very far, or are, in some ways sort of that necessary process of friction and resistance, actually. In order for true change to occur, in order for kind of momentous change to occur, there needs to be that element of friction and of fight, in order to really kind of activate perseverance. Almost that idea of the universe kind of loves it when we are stubborn about something, when we pursue something, when we pursue that goal, it will rise up to meet us in kind. That the things that this person is having a little more difficulty walking away from, that these are some of their greatest victories, that within this struggle they are uncovering strength within themselves. It's helping them to really kind of peel back the layers and the masks and the personas and the facades and the perceptions or misperceptions that they may have had, in order to really unearth the truth of who they are, of what they've been surrounding themselves with, of what no longer resonates with them, kind of putting that invitation out there for what is able to then rise and meet them and accompany them on this next leg of their journey, versus what needs to just be kind of discarded and kind of moved away from and left behind in the past. And we've got isolation. So this again talks about that idea of sort of pulling away from people in their life, from belief systems, from ways they've been showing up in the world, even perceptions of themselves. This could be a very lonely part of this person's journey and this person's life at this point in time. A lot falling away and kind of creating that fallow space for newness to sort of come up and to be birthed. Again, this idea of somebody who feels very alone in a crowded room. Even if they haven't really started to make any of these changes in their material world, they're feeling that sense of otherness and what might have been so familiar or kind of long-standing for them. And it's this feeling of kind of lack in their circumstances that is that motivation for them to ultimately kind of press and to seek and to find what it is that does bring them that sense of fulfillment, who they are authentically, and then to be able to, kind of vet out what fits with that, what is in accordance with that versus what sort of inhibits or limits that. And we've got secrets. So this person could be trying to really keep this to themselves, any kind of process of spiritual awakening, any kind of process of being sort of unhappy in a circumstance, any desire to kind of move beyond. This feels like somebody who's making preparations very quietly, kind of setting a plan in motion, getting other things into alignment, or getting other things ready before some kind of a grand announcement is made, before they fully break away from something, wanting to make sure that there's almost a net to fall into, or rather a new kind of, if it's something to do with job and career, this feels like somebody who's trying to line something else up so that when they move away from one something that they've been doing, one thing they've been investing in, it's it's a seamless point of transition. They're able to just kind of close the door on one thing and move into another. If this is in terms of relationships or even like a living situation, this person could really be kind of trying to strategize, what's that going to look like? What's that kind of dissolution of the household going to look like? Maybe making plans and preparations for somewhere else to live, or a way in which to kind of extract their finances from somebody else. Or again, just kind of planning maybe a difficult conversation that needs to take place with somebody, rather than just allowing this impulsivity to happen. Recognizing and understanding that it might be kind of a struggle, it might be kind of a back and forth, and so kind of trying to keep that desire to themselves as much as possible at this point in time, but kind of in that secret space, in that internal space, recognizing and moving toward that point of needing to kind of break away from that, needing to make that kind of announcement, in order that, when that happens, it doesn't just set the ball in motion for, a lot of this back and forth, but when that conversation takes place, it's sort of like, this is how it is. I'm just letting you know this, not opening that up to, let's talk about this, let's try to work this out, but this person coming to this place of decisiveness within themselves about what is no longer working with them, what is no longer part of kind of the plan that they envision for themselves moving forward. Again, maybe some kind of spiritual awakening or some kind of an awareness has come to this person, maybe even something sparked by this connection that has really caused them to reevaluate kind of what they've been investing in. And, wanting to kind of do things right, wanting to take other people's feelings into consideration, to avoid as much conflict and drama and kind of pain as possible by, just coming up with a very concise plan and, again, making those steps forward, making these announcements known in a way that is kind of operating from a place of integrity, as opposed to, just kind of this artificial energy, or kind of an energy of trickery. And we also have detachment. So again, this really ties in with isolation and this element of kind of making plans, making preparations. The more that's being revealed to this person, the more they are uncovering within themselves. It's helping them to detach to any sort of feeling of obligation that they may have had. It's starting to help them detach from any kind of sense of duty that they may have had, or again, this element maybe of living in the shadow of someone, some kind of a legacy, maybe even specifically careers coming through a lot. So this could be, somebody that again is, maybe they're a lawyer because they came from a family of lawyers, or, maybe this person is in business because they, everybody in their family was in business, or a doctor who came from a family of doctors, but, truly this person wants to be a musician, or wants to be an artist, or wants to be a teacher, or just wants to do something else, but never expressed that, or never was encouraged to kind of follow that path that was almost laid out for them. And so this person, again, starting to really detach themselves, make other plans and preparations. So whatever this announcement is made, the next step is stepping into whatever this other thing is that resonates. The next step is moving in that direction of their own personal happiness, of their own personal satisfaction. This card also really talks about, allowing things to sort of fall away from their life, as much as kind of chaos and confusion and uproar might be a theme, as much as, the more this person grows internally or kind of expresses themselves, expresses their independence in other ways, and as much as that might be perceived as kind of threatening to other people around them, kind of this idea of the grip being tightened by those around them, they're nevertheless persisting in this energy of detaching themselves. As difficult and constricting as this might feel at this point in time, they're still very intent on this. They're still very intent on this course of kind of leaving certain things where they are and setting forth on a new path. This person is, they might be very present in their circumstances in kind of body, and for all intents and purposes, they're there, they're going through the motions, but their mind they're already somewhere else. Their intention is already somewhere else. Their sights are set on a different horizon. This is the energy of, a course that is being set and is decided upon, a truth that has been revealed to this person, something that they are wanting to move toward that is in a very different direction from whatever it is that they are entertaining currently, whatever it is they're focused on currently, wherever it is that their attentions are, the life that they've built for themselves. This card can talk about again, that idea of ascension and a version of this person that is kind of, exists in a particular space and time, but that there's movement happening. There's a greater perspective that's happening. This person even opening up to their spiritual self. They may have been very kind of logical and very focused on the mundane, and there's this whole other aspect of who they are that's opening up, that they are discovering, that they are learning about, that it might have them feeling very isolated, the stranger in the crowd, or stranger in the crowded room, alone in the crowded room, because people around them are not resonating with that. They're not on the same path as this person. They don't have these same perceptions as this person. And so it's something in general that, movement and expansion is taking place kind of behind the scenes internally, that is then able to ripple out into change in their life in general. And it feels like a lot of this in some way has been sparked by this connection, or as this is taking place within this person, it is bringing them to a space within themselves and within their life of being able to participate in this connection again, or maybe for the first time, maybe in a deeper capacity than what was experienced previously between you. But change is definitely happening. It feels like they're almost growing towards you from the inside out at this point in time. So I'm going to get some tarot to get a little more clarification about this for you, group 3. Okay, so we have 6 of Swords. So this is, again, this idea of moving on from any kind of uncertainty, any kind of conflicted energy within themselves, any ways in which they were kind of compromising their own values and their own goals and what they want and their own internal truth to kind of accommodate a status quo, or even something that was really sparked by this connection that in some way required all this change in their outside circumstances, that sort of came in as a wild card maybe, and caused them to just kind of not participate, not even at the time not being able to just run directly into this connection because of all these other sort of mitigating factors. There's a process happening with this swords energy, this mental energy, this internal energy of somebody who's thinking of a plan, somebody who's making a plan of action, somebody who's kind of putting all the pieces together and strategizing a way forward, starting to uncover the truth of what stays and what goes in their life. And we also have the moon. So that ties in with that idea of secrets and bluff. A lot that is not being shown. This person definitely putting on some kind of a facade at this point in time. Not out of a space of inauthenticity, but just out of this feeling of discernment being necessary, almost wanting to protect this process that is taking place, protect any urge that they have to move towards you, move toward this connection, in order for, again, these other kind of moving parts to come into line or to fall away. In some way, the time is just not right to be very open with this, to be very, to announce this. But it is something with the moon, this talks about phases where whatever you find yourself in this connection, or wherever this person finds themselves in at this point in their journey, in their life, this is a temporary phase. They can no longer remain in the energy and circumstances that they were in previously. And there's newness that is yet to unfold. They're in this process of kind of sifting through all of that, deciphering through all of that, making a plan of action forward, so that at a particular point in time, or when they've got all these other kind of circumstances in line in their life, then they are able to make that announcement. Then they are able to really step out into the light with this truth, have difficult conversations with people, move away from a particular type of job that they were doing, or a certain lifestyle, kind of this idea of sort of setting the groundwork in motion at this point in time, but all of this really being a buildup to some greater revolution, or revolution and revelation, some kind of a massive a part of this person, or an element of this person, something that is really kind of surfacing from the subconscious, some kind of an authenticity, or even, in the interest of kind of choosing this connection, where in the past they had maybe chosen a different route, and sort of building up to that place of really kind of announcing this, making this known, bringing this out into the light, from where it is kind of hiding within them at this point in time. And we also have temperance. So this is the energy of patience, and again, just delicacy needing to happen at this point in time. This doesn't feel, again, like a sneaky energy. It's just, it's a delicate matter. It's something where this transition in this person's life, or in some way as it relates to this connection with you, it's something that they're really cherishing. This energy here of the Two of Cups. They see you as a soulmate. They see you as, as their life partner, as their kindred spirit, as their twin soul. And it's something where they're really valuing this connection. They're wanting to cherish this connection and, really keep this connection safe. And so kind of moving about this at a very delicate pace, at a very deliberate pace, to kind of mitigate the interference from other people, to sort of clear their energy, clear their life up, clear their circumstances up enough to where when they make that offer, when they give of themselves, when they give of that love, it is coming from a place that is very open, that is very uncomplicated. That when they step forth, when they open the door to that they are fully ready to participate in this reciprocally, trying to kind of again tie up some loose ends, close some things out, move beyond some things, move towards other things, in order to kind of create these optimal conditions for the two of you to really experience and share this love together in sort of the best way possible. And this can also, in terms of just other aspects of their life, other sort of, spiritual awakening concepts that have really are starting to kind of have an effect on how they view other things that they have going on, what they do for a living, people that they surround themselves with. There's again this element of delicacy that is needing to take place, not wanting to be rash or impulsive, but wanting to really establish a solid plan, a solid foundation to create as seamless of a transition as possible. Somebody who recognizes that, the transition will nonetheless, there may be some upset, there may be some ruffled feathers that occur, or some people that are let down in that process. But it's a matter of kind of coming to that space of certainty and peace within themselves, so that when they take whatever action this is forward in however many or however wide of a range that applies, that it's coming from a space of truth and authenticity within themselves. It's coming from a place of preparedness and being ready for what comes after that point. If it's leaving a career behind and maybe they're needing to go back to school, recognizing that they need to prepare themselves to, perhaps take a pay cut for a period of time while they are kind of building up some skills or some some credentials in other ways. Maybe it's moving, to an entire new geographic location, and there's going to be that adjustment time as they are kind of learning the lay of the land, as they are really establishing themselves. But instead of just, moving away from wherever it is they live now and, going until the car runs out of gas, for example, that, wanting to have that kind of plan in place so that it's one door closes and they're stepping forth through another door, almost with this sense of kind of immediacy, flowing from one situation into another, flowing from one chapter of their life into another, from one version of themselves into another. And we also have the Knight of Cups. So this can definitely talk about this desire to move this connection forward in some capacity. If this is somebody who maybe rejected your cup of love in the past, they do have this desire to step forth, to come forward with that cup, to raise that cup and present that to you in a way that they might not have been able to do previously, almost with no strings attached, with no hesitancy, wanting to do things right, wanting to even just move in the direction of their heart in terms of other areas of their life, in terms of who they are awakening to as their authentic self that they may have, kind of buried or sacrificed previously. There's this desire to invest more fully in their own personal truth, in what resonates for them deeply and internally, as opposed to kind of making that secondary to what others have projected or expect of them. And we also have the Eight of Pentacles, which is a card of work and working on things. And in this imagery here, it's two people in this card. So man and a woman, husband and wife, however that resonates. Gender does not apply. Just take it as it resonates to your situation. But this ties in with this idea of plans and preparations that this person is trying to make in order to facilitate stepping more fully into this connection, perhaps, making some kind of an announcement to people that you are the partner that they choose, that this is the direction that they want to move in, maybe regardless of how that is viewed or the disapproval that might come with that. This is also somebody who's seeking that balance of the light and shadow within themselves, really seeking to tap into that kind of feminine energy of intuition and receptivity, and create that marriage with this masculine polarity of action and of confidence. Again, getting all these kind of factors into alignment, getting a plan in place so that when they take steps forward, it is from that place of balance. It is from that place to where the steps that they take have kind of this greatest potential of yielding something very beneficial. Again, things that they're doing behind the scenes, research that they're doing, things that they are setting up, that they are orchestrating, or that they are closing out in order to create this stable space within their life and within themselves to make this necessary transition, so that when they cross that threshold, when they open that door, it is with the intention and with the ability to really participate in this connection, or in this new aspect of their life, this new part of themselves that is really being kind of brought up to the forefront, so that they can achieve success in this, so that it's not just kind of stepping out blindly and sort of floundering, and potentially things work or they kind of they fumble. They want to avoid that as much as possible by having these plans and preparations, something solid in place, in order to really kind of ground and sustain this new chapter, this new adventure that they're getting ready to embark on. And we also have the Chariot. So again, this card of balance, this card of movement. This can talk about some kind of a shift in geography, some kind of drastic move that they are wanting to make. And this doesn't even just have to be geography. This can be something in their life, a way that they have been leading their life, something significant that has been kind of a driving force or a directing force or a force of consideration in their life, changing directions, changing course. Again, this idea of balancing kind of that receptivity and that action, taking the time to really kind of create that merging between head and heart as well, so that the decision is made. So when this kind of move is made, it is made from a very logical place. It is made from a very stable place. It is not made from a space of impulsivity, but there's some grounding to it. There's some stability to it, so that regardless of how kind of other circumstances or other people that may be involved kind of take that, it comes from a place of certainty to where, when that action is taken, that there's no stopping that. This Chariot is the energy of an unstoppable force. This feels like somebody who's already come to that point of resolution within themselves. The decision has already been made, and now it's a process of kind of gathering those pieces, collecting the supplies, collecting the materials, making that plan of action forward to move beyond what no longer serves in the direction that their heart is calling them. So I'm going to get some messages from their higher self for you now, group 3. Let's see, what do they want you to know at this time? Okay, and they say, I pulled away because I am overwhelmed with all the things going on in my life. So that is that energy of turbulence and change, and these transitions that are happening internally and vibrationally with this person. Even a decision that they have come to that maybe they made the wrong choice to not participate in this connection in the past, or to even reject your cup of love. That has really been kind of cycling within them, really digesting within them. And they've come to some kind of truth, some kind of resolution, some kind of a decision that has been made, that it's having a vibrational effect on people around them. It's also this energy here of, again, these plans and preparations this person is needing to set in place, maybe some difficult conversations or just major changes in their life that is taking up a lot of their time. It's taking up a lot of their energy. Even if you are kind of feeling this person energetically sort of withdrawn from you or retracted from you at this point in time, that can really talk about, again, where their attention is being invested in other things, in trying to sort these other things out, tie up these loose ends, make that plan forward. But any of this energy of sort of pulling away literally or, even just energetically at this point in time, it's not for a lack of love. It's almost the overwhelm of kind of encountering wish fulfillment, what it is that they want, what it is they want to move toward, and also then having that point of contrast of comparison as they kind of look around them and see that as their life is right now, they need to make the space for that to be possible. They need to clean things up a little bit or make some room in their life in order to, again, when they offer that cup of love, when they make that extension of themselves towards you, it's in a way that comes from a very pure place. It's in a way that it has minimal kind of interference from outside parties, outside energies, or even somebody who wants to get kind of some of these difficulties or this confusion sewed up in their life in order to be able to really fully invest their attention on a fresh start energy with you, on not having to try and kind of juggle and straddle, sort of moving out of the past into the future, but somebody who's very intent to close some doors before they fully open this door to you and the connection. They also say, I feel like I can't give you what you need. So that is more of that energy of needing to take some time at this point to close up their affairs in some regard, to move away from things, to create some things, to make that space in their life. This is an energy of not now, but not never. So somebody who, as they're kind of going through the motions, as they are, making these plans, making these preparations, making these transitions within themselves, there's definitely a consideration of what this can look like, how this then applies to a future that is possible with you. Changes that this person is needing to also make internally as, they're kind of going through an awakening process or, coming to these realizations about people, places, and things they've been entertaining up to a certain point in time. Recognizing some internal work, some work on their world needs to be done before they are able to really in a more full way or in some capacity to involve you in that, to incorporate you in that, to introduce you into that world. They also say, I feel empty without you. So they do not like the distance. They do not like the separation. There is this urge to move towards you, to bring you closer to them. It's a difficult time for this person. It's a time of transition. It's a time of longing, and it feels almost like that idea of reciprocity. This idea of two cups pouring into one another. Graciously and equally and consistently. It's something that they're working toward. It's that goal. It's that point on the horizon. And in this sort of in-between time, this liminal space, as kind of things are wrapping up, things are falling away, old cycles are completing, and they're getting ready to kind of step into that state of newness, of being kind of prepared internally and externally to come forward towards you, with the energy of reconciliation, or to come closer in towards you. If this is somebody you're in contact with to a certain degree at this point, there is this desire to step things up to the next level, and becoming acutely aware that in your presence, in this energy, there's almost this invigoration that they feel. There's almost this sense of you mirror back to this person their own innate wholeness, which they are recognizing is a far cry from whatever is being reflected to them through other circumstances. It's not in a way that you two complete one another, but it's a sense of two whole individuals, two cups that are capable of filling themselves, choosing to kind of circulate that amongst one another. And so it's this sense of almost that this connection, this circumstance, this energy is what they have been looking for. It is that missing piece that all these other things that they tried to kind of move with or tried to make do with have fallen short. They've touched upon this. They've touched upon the answer. They've touched upon, the one for them. And it's very difficult then to kind of be in this in-between space where they're needing to keep a lot of their thoughts and feelings and intentions to themselves. They're experiencing a lot of chaos in other ways, a lot of things kind of falling away. And there is this desire, this motivation to continue with this process in the knowledge and hope that it brings the two of you closer in the future, and is kind of what is necessary. It's the process that's necessary in order to create that potential for a beginning or kind of the next stage between the both of you in the future. And they also say, I feel like I ruined everything. So they may be looking back on kind of the initial spark between you, or a period of time where they had kind of rejected this, had moved away from this, or even had kind of pulled away energetically. And they're understanding that you're left with a lot of confusion. They can feel the hurt. They can feel kind of the sorrow from that. And they wish that they could give more. There's this desire to kind of give explanations. But again, kind of secrecy is it's important at this point in time. It's in some way protects this connection at this point in time, while this person is kind of dealing with some other things and kind of wrapping up some other things, moving beyond some other things, eliminating some other things from their life. And they don't feel good in this state. They don't feel good in not being able to communicate fully and openly the nature of their feelings, the depth of their intentions, and where they envision this connection going forward. This is somebody who wants to be kind of on the same page with you in all senses of the word, wants to build toward a mutually satisfying future, wants to really take the ribbon off of this gift of love and to explore this fully. But it's something where, because of these other circumstances within themselves or within their life, they're having a lot of regrets about that, for kind of this pain that is a byproduct of that process of really needing to get some things in order, or to figure some things out within themselves. And kind of this fear that they have, which is also motivation to, be very proactive in this process. That the more time goes on, in that energy of uncertainty and things largely being unspoken, or it's like a hesitation to move forward almost, or any kind of potential delays, or kind of a deliberate or slow process. There's this feeling that kind of the longer that goes on, the more sort of hurt and confusion that ensues with that. They're hoping that you would have an energy of patience and understanding. And energetically, they try to convey that to you as much as possible, but it's something where, without those direct conversations, those words being spoken, or kind of that view being given of that internal landscape and what's happening, and kind of these plans that they're making, it's all just left to kind of trust and speculation at this point in time. And so they're taking a lot of responsibility for this, that kind of those delays and these obstacles that are needing to be overcome are, largely on their side of things. Okay, and they say, forgive me, I am only able to take baby steps at this time. So that is, again, that idea that there are certain things that need to be kind of closed out and cleared up for this person from their life. It's a delicate process, a lot of moving parts. They, want to avoid hurt feelings. This is somebody that wants to mitigate chaos as much as possible. They're very excited to reach that horizon with you, to, explore what this connection has to offer, to really bask in that, to experience that fruit that they may have just tasted briefly, or have just kind of gotten an inclination from, if this is something that hasn't really gotten off the ground in a substantial way. But again, kind of this energy of time being on your side, things needing to be done at a certain pace, to be done right, a lot that's either at stake in this situation, or big major changes that are beyond just this connection, that are also kind of involved in this process, or that this person is really taking the opportunity to kind of change that, the idea of almost a makeover of their entire life in a certain way, or a lot of things that are changing, and to try to, again, kind of maintain that sense of regularity, that status quo, to not act too impulsively or too quickly. It's a fine line between that and this desire to kind of rush in. And so this energy of baby steps is just trying to go very deliberately, trying to go very slowly, trying to go very methodically, to make sure that things are done correctly, that they are done right. But also letting you know that this is not a reflection of the truth of what they feel. The truth of what they feel is that chariot energy, that unstoppable force, unquestioning decision has been made, wanting to, rush towards you to make that revelation, to share that cup of love, to exchange that love with you in a tangible and practical manner. But it's something that, at this stage at least, it's needing to kind of be approached very delicately. They also say, I fear that I'm not good enough for you, but I'm working on it. So some of these obstacles or barriers that are kind of holding them back is also tied maybe to a sense of self that they have, maybe some kind of wounds that they sustained in relationships of the past that they are wanting to heal. So as again, not to kind of gum up the works of this connection when it takes place. Somebody who's recognizing that they have some other things they need to kind of let go of or move away from within themselves, even some self-esteem issues as well. Anyways, their trust has been eroded in circumstances of the past, or things that they're acknowledging that they need to work on within themselves in order to create kind of that optimal space within themselves and within their life to be able to sustain and nourish this connection in a profound and lasting way. And they also say, what will you say or do? If I come back, will you forgive me and love me? So if they have rejected the cup of love from you in the past, or, had really just not acted upon that, had kind of feigned disinterest in the past, there is this kind of questioning, this fear that, is it too little too late? This desire, this feeling that things could be really good, but again, this element of uncertainty that whatever is played out up to this point in time, the longer that they take with this, kind of all the sort of backtracking that needs to be done, that course correction. It's an element that is creating more of this energy of kind of this slow pace. It's another mountain that they need to overcome. It's something else that they need to kind of fight through and work through, is making other changes in their life for themselves first and foremost, and also understanding the importance of that, so that on the off chance that they extend themselves to you, they open up that cup of love to you, and if it's something you're not willing to entertain, or you reject them, or you've moved on, or you've grown beyond that, or whatever the case is, whatever, their types of fears that they are kind of playing through their mind, that they have something solid and stable within themselves that they have cultivated to kind of move forward with. So not wanting to, just put all their investment into what they are feeling emotionally, but wanting to try and create some kind of new life for themselves, some kind of new foundation and stability for themselves, which they want you to be a part of, but which they are able to then carry forth in nonetheless, regardless of how you receive them. And they also say, I call out to you. Know that I am just a thought away. I hear you. So a lot of telepathy could be going on at this point in time. This person really expressing and sending you that love, sending you those vibrations that they are unable to kind of speak in the material world because of, again, this need for sort of discernment and delicacy in this matter, in this circumstance. But they're letting you know and encouraging you to communicate with them in that form. When you feel the love coming from them, to not question that as much as possible, but trust that this is coming from a genuine place, a very conscious place within this person, that as these other changes are taking place for them, they're thinking about you a lot. There is this wish and this desire to be able to communicate more to you, to be able to communicate more consistently with you, or to communicate with you again. But in the interim, in this kind of transitional period, they are definitely sending that love to you. So kind of energetically speaking the words that at this point in time, they're unable or unwilling for a variety of reasons to really bring out into the open. So I'm going to get some guidance for you now, group 3, about the situation. Okay, and we have let your light shine. So this is all about, again, this kind of confirmation of, this profound love that you have with this person, that you both share together, that has been very triggering for them. It might have triggered them to kind of pull away from this connection. It is something which stayed with them. It has been this motivation for them, and it's been this wake-up call for them. It is almost that this connection, this love, this energy is kind of this light. It's this truth. It's this higher level experience to where the rest of their life now is kind of in shadow. It's in a contrast. It's a little more dull compared to what they have touched upon, what they've experienced, what they've tasted with you. It's this motivation that they have to transcend their circumstances, to do that work, to rise up to the place where they are able to meet and reciprocate this love. This is also really this encouragement here with this kind of hovering heart that at the higher self level, you and this person are connected. You and this person are even, this feels like twin soul energy here, like soulmate, kindred souls. To where despite what is happening in the 3D, despite any kind of separation, distance, or isolation, you two are one at that higher self level. It's something that, again, you're encouraged to, connect with them there, connect with them at the heart space, send them love, send them that encouragement, receive the love that they give to you from this vantage point or from this means of communication, to, receive that with openness, receive that with trust, to trust in the plan of things that are happening, to trust in the ability of this connection in this circumstance to rise beyond wherever you find yourselves currently. To take the time to really ground yourself, come out of that energy of worry and be very present in the now. Instead of worrying about what you can change or what this person is changing, the pace at which they are, figuring things out. What are they feeling? What are they thinking? What do they know about this? What are they going to do about this? The guidance is to really just come home to self. As much as this person is really needing to kind of clear some things away, you might be in a space of needing to kind of clear up your energy as well, to be that anchor, to hold that light, to be that beacon that this person is able to then navigate toward. They're able to find you. They're able to locate you because they are in the process of cultivating and kind of honing and harnessing that same light within themselves. So meditation and yoga can be very helpful at this point in time to, again, just really ground yourself. Come into that center, come into your body, come out of that mental space of sort of worry and kind of confusion, and to enter into that place of trust where you're really able to feel and perceive this person at an energetic level. You're able to connect with them in that space of kind of serenity with one another. And you're able to then kind of move into that space of trust that the events that are unfolding at the pace that they are unfolding is in alignment precisely with divine order, and kind of this energy of time being on both of your sides, that the longer this takes to kind of build in a proper and correct fashion, the greater chance there is for sort of those optimal conditions to be received, so that, you know, when this connection sort of comes back online, or when the next step is taken in this connection, you both have the ability to really appreciate and receive one another on a very deep level, and that this connection has the ability then to kind of transcend other obstacles that might come up in your lives, as is just kind of naturally the case in all relationships. It's not all honey all the time. There's definitely times that can be kind of sour or kind of challenging, and so to just kind of cultivate that core within oneself can really help. As individuals, can then help you as a couple to kind of transition through these things, to be that support, to be that kind of that anchor and that motivation for each other through these other kind of circumstances and processes. But this is this guidance that whatever confusion and darkness or uncertainty you might be in right now, whatever sort of quiet or even kind of periods of isolation, that on the other side of this light of love is sort of it's shining in this space. And it might just be a little more difficult to see. It's something that you can locate within. It's something you can locate, kind of transitioning to that place of the higher self. There's a constancy here. There's a love here that is helping to kind of motivate you both in this process of patience, in this process of bringing things into alignment within yourselves and within your world. And so really focusing on how you can, cultivate and maintain kind of that energy of hope within yourself, focusing on your own abundance, focusing on your own journey, what you can control in your own immediate circumstances and world. Just as this person is making preparations, becoming that love you wish to seek as well. Seeking to uncover any things, maybe residual wounds about heartbreak of the past, or even kind of disappointments or anxiety about this situation with this person and what has taken place or is happening. Seeking to clear these things from your energy to really come into that space of confidence and trust that the plan or the process that is unfolding is in alignment with everybody's highest good here. And when you move into that space of allowing and just being and of trust, then you again are that kind of beacon to where love and what is meant for you is able to then find you and kind of make its way to you in the proper time. Okay, and we also have Earth Healing. So this is, again, a card of grounding, a card of really encouraging you to come out of that space of anxiety, of worry, to, maybe do some even root chakra healing, where you are able to come into a space of understanding your ability to really fill your own cup. In a practical sense, working on your stability, your finances, your abundance, your feeling of security in the material world, so that when you cultivate that sense, that root, that anchor within yourself, you're then able, from that place of certainty to allow kind of other energies to flow to you. You allow yourself to kind of move through the ebbs and flows of what comes toward you or what occurs within you, with the sense of certainty that everything will be okay, that you are safe, that you are protected, that you have that capability of generating that for yourself. And this card here with this child, this can also talk about some inner child healing, some wounds that might be a benefit for you to really address at this point in time. Maybe even the time that this is taking, or kind of this person's need for discernment and need to kind of just take things at sort of a slow pace, or to be very patient. This could be triggering some abandonment wounds within you, feelings of rejection, feelings of not being good enough. And so kind of these circumstances triggering that opportunity or opening a door for you that, in the meantime, what you can do is work on what has come up within yourself. Allow this person the space to kind of handle their situation, to sort of get their kind of moving pieces into order. And, instead of just remaining in kind of this inert space of inaction where you are just holding space, you're holding on to that energy of anxiety and kind of on the brink of waiting for change to happen. You are executing change within yourself. You're taking a proactive approach. You're making the most of the time that you have and the resources that you have, and what you have in front of you. Maybe there are loose ends in your life that you need to work on tying up to create kind of that optimal situation, that nest where this love has the ability to thrive. Maybe there are things within yourself that you are needing to really work on. Again, grounding, meditation, a sense of security, a sense of stability, maybe something about your own abundance or kind of the life that you're living, ways in which you're living, not necessarily according to your authenticity, but are kind of going through the motions of what you feel is expected of you, any kind of legacy that you've been projected into. And kind of what are the ways that you can break free from that if you feel inclined to do that. Really assessing these things and understanding what is your core truth versus what has been sort of projected upon you and that you've just accepted as who you should be, who you are, and what you're doing with yourself and with your life. So this connection, the point in time of this connection, really an opportunity for the two of you to kind of align with that higher purpose, align with that core of authenticity, and allow that center, that truth within you to then emanate out and be reflected in the circumstances, people, and things that you are entertaining, that you are investing your time and energy into, allowing these changes within to kind of unfold at a very natural and very organic pace in the changes without that you wish to see. And through that process of kind of grounding and working with what you have, this earth energy, not so much focusing on trying to kind of pull the future towards you, or just overly obsessing about kind of that point on the horizon, but taking a look around you at the raw materials you have around you. What can you do in the here and now? What can you do with what's in front of you? What is being presented to you? What is in your immediate environment that is in need of reframing, that is in need of reimagining, that is in need of release? And by doing that, you actively co-create in this process of really bringing this higher level love, this connection, at the core of the two of you, at the soul, the higher self level, of bringing that down into material reality through your actions that speak to, this energy of change, this energy of transition, this energy of kind of moving beyond what is outdated in order to kind of unearth and make space for sort of the best version of self, the most authentic version of self, the most in alignment version of self that you truly are, which then magnetizes to you the most aligned version of love possible for you in this lifetime. So those are your messages, group 3. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I also sell handmade jewelry in my Etsy shop if you're interested in checking that out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.